Good Saturday morning, everyone. Or is it afternoon? No, it's still morning. So good to see you again and be heard and be seen, I guess is the more appropriate term. And it is now the 25th of July, Julie's month, and the month of my birth, by the way. I was born in this month. I'm not going to tell you what day, but anyway, and I'm years old, and it's like I've always said, I'm 17, trapped in this body, and continually trying to escape. I keep trying to get out, but it hasn't worked yet. Maybe our guest, Bob Sullivan, can explain to me, how do I escape this?
Looking for that same secret.
Are you?
And I was born in this month too. So
were you?
Birthday.
Oh, well, thanks, and you too. Wait, are we not there yet?
No, it was last Monday.
That's
July 20th.
Oh, that's weird. I'll confess, mine was the 19th.
Still a Cancer, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That is weird. We're one day apart in a few years. I thought he's older than me. Since I'm only 17, so. Oh, yeah, there you go. Thank you, sir. Anyway, hey, good to be with you all. I want to begin this morning by, again, welcoming our guest, Bob Sullivan, who is running for insurance commissioner of the state of Oklahoma, and, of course, my friend, sidekick, mentor, and all of the above, David Van Rissingham. Hey, quickly, I don't know, we have to do this kind of, but Bob, are you a soccer fan at all? Do you know anything about soccer?
I have learned enough about it through my son.
We got to kick him up. We can't hear him.
Oh, my apologies.
There you go, Bob. Welcome.
There we go.
Welcome, Bob. Bob Sullivan.
Great to be here. My soccer experience and expertise comes purely through watching my son learn to play the game and having some great coaches who explained offsides to me. Bless their hearts and their patience. That took a while. But obviously with the World Cup, just having wrapped up, we watched a lot more soccer in our household than probably the previous historical time ever.
Yeah,
right.
It was a great year.
I don't think you're alone. I think many people, it broke all records. Now, of course, they added the double amount of another 32 games. It's 64 games they had now, teams versus the 32 before.
And I think part of it, choosing North America as a venue, so many stadiums. When you award it to, say, Spain, well, okay, you might have Madrid, you might have, Barcelona, if you, but you won't have that many stadiums.
Right. Of that size.
Yeah. And we were willing to share it. I mean, remember, England made it to the Final Four by beating Mexico in Mexico City.
Mm-hmm.
That was huge.
Yeah. Of course, nobody has the number of massive stadiums we do.
Of course not.
And so, but here's the interesting thing I've seen. Argentina used to be the darling of everyone. And of course, Messi was the guy. But in the last week, actually, I think it's been growing through this tournament. They've been exposed or attacked or both in many ways on the field and off the field, that as dirty players. Anyone that saw that final would have to say, what is going on with these people? They look like a Mexican B-League because the fouls that were taking place, and ridiculous fouls, and then arguing with the referee about it. And but here's the broader thing that has happened, and that is the exposure of Argentina as a racist nation. I don't know if any of you have been reading any of that. Have you read any of that?
I've heard that stuff.
Well,
but they got to go back 80 years to make their case.
Well, you're talking about the Nazis going. Yeah. No, it's broader than that. What they did, even before, they used to. Have you ever wondered why Brazil is next door and Brazil is probably 60% black?
Yeah, they're a Portuguese colony.
Mexico has a lot of black people, even though we don't know about it, but they have totally entirely black. And there's reasons, and we won't take the time today. But what Argentina because their entire team was white. Basically, I think they had one guy on the bench, one black guy on the bench, a token on the bench. Nah, just kidding.
When you say white, that includes Hispanics.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're more white. You don't have the Indio Hispanics on there. Anyway, to continue here, what has been discovered is they literally drove the black Argentinians out, and then through a breeding thing or whatever, in other words, it's a purposeful thing.
Kind of like the WNBA is doing to white women like Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham.
But the reverse of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's, and so, because I always wondered, I mean, you have to wonder, why did the Nazis after World War II choose Argentina, that country, to go to? And because I don't know if they added to it, helped to it, or were drawn there because of that.
They were one of their few allies. They did not have very many allies.
Right, true. But the policies, I think, helped something. But anyway, that's just something I discovered in the last 2 weeks. And all of a sudden, there's and now the last couple of days, an anti-Messi campaign has been going on because they're showing. But
keep in mind, from the same journalists who think that Caitlin Clark is a distraction that is bad for the WNBA.
No, this is different. This is different.
It's not the same. It's still pushing out by color.
Well, you get to be the witness, and
I didn't bring my popcorn.
I know. You thought you were coming about you, but it's about us. We do this often, usually, but. No, there's a distinction, and after won't waste.
Sure there are.
I won't take Robert's time here or our audience's time.
Stay tuned for part 2.
Yeah, we will have to. We'll have to dig into this more because it is an interesting thing because I didn't understand it myself, but Argentina has gone from the darling of the world and the fans, and they have fallen considerably. So just to say that, and now Ronaldo again is the guy, even though Messi was. So it's an inside soccer deal. So anyway, as we said, our guest Bob Sullivan here joining us again, and we enjoyed it last time. The election is coming up, the runoff, in about a month from now. A little under. But I have you again, Bob. And so, has transpired since last?
Sure. So since we were here last, we had the June 16th primary, and was just thrilled with the results. We won, came out victorious in that June 16th primary, garnered 37% of the vote, and obviously that means we're going to a runoff. So August 25th, I'm in a runoff with former Senator and Representative Marty Quinn,
the pride of Arkansas. Sorry, that was me. That wasn't Bob.
You told me you were going to go there. Keeping your word.
Yeah.
And so since then, obviously, we've been very busy with the campaign. We took a few days after June 16th, and it was the place where we got married 14 years ago. And
what is your anniversary date?
June 29th.
Oh, okay. I was just going to say this is getting crazy if it was close to mine was the 4th. So we've got some distance there. Same month, but
finally putting some distance between our commonalities here. But since we've been back, I mean, obviously from pretty much July 4th weekend on, we've been burning and churning throughout the state of Oklahoma, just doing what we were doing. What made us successful in the primary, in my opinion, that's just meeting Oklahomans, getting our message out, and doing all the campaign stuff, and still holding down a day job and still working with clients in the insurance sector. July 1 is usually a pretty big renewal date in my world for a lot of commercial policies, and it was again this year. So fewer scars than some of the previous years, but it was good.
Right. Now, you are primarily a commercial, right? That's more your background, correct? Yeah. Do you do P&C or personal lines?
So, yeah, we still have a personal line, a small handful of personal lines accounts, usually policies that we write for my commercial business owners.
Right, yeah, that's right.
Earlier in my career, I had a much larger book of home and auto, personal lines insurance, but, really, finding niches and finding areas of specialization in an industry like
That's
insurance
true.
that can be so broad is valuable. And my background was always from the commercial space.
Now, there's some nice ranches and ag operations out there. You've got some of them too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Had the opportunity and the honor of working with farm and ranch policies, farm and ranch owners. That market in my world, in the independent side, kind of dried up for a period of time. But we still do a few hobby farms, gentleman farms, animal mortalities.
To the east of you, you've got a pretty healthy Amish community. Do they reach out to you for help? Or?
No, haven't.
They kind of self-insure, don't they?
They do. They do. They're I think insular in a good way. They understand their risk and they understand management of it, and they're not under any compulsion to buy the coverage. It's
tough though. Good friend of mine was vice president of the Bank of Commerce there in Shoto, and he said, the banking regulators, when Dodd-Frank rules hit, the examiners came in and like, you have no IDs, no driver's license, and they're just really like, oh my God, here it comes.
Right.
And he says, gentlemen, he says, do you understand the Amish? He says, do you understand that you're attacking this? Your rules are an affront and attack on their religious values. As soon as he said that, they packed it. He says, they don't pose for pictures. They shut down everything. So get the heck out of here.
Right.
The feds knew better than to pick a fight with English.
I believe here that
I don't know what you have to deal with.
I haven't had a lot of opportunities or needs.
Well, yeah, because they self-insure.
They do.
What I'd heard is, a guy fails as a farmer, they'll bail him out. Public scorn and reproach.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
they're a community.
They are. Yeah. Absolutely. They take care of one another and they hold one another to account.
Yeah.
And that's part
there
of
we
it.
go. Now we even got to Amish religion.
Bob, you have a wife. How many children?
About 12. I turned 9 back in June. And it's a lot of fun. We were at the basketball gym in Jenks last night for 8:30 p.m. basketball games on a Friday night in the summer, and it's great that even despite the busyness of campaigning and running a business, making that time and I've held Friday night basketball sacred on my campaign calendar. I'm not doing events.
That's your son or your daughter that plays basketball?
My son. My daughter, bless her heart, we've done gymnastics, we've done golf, we've done a lot of individual sports. Team sports have not interested her much. So she'll come to these games with 3 books from the Tulsa County Library, and she'll have 2 of them read by the time we get to halftime.
Oh, you poor guy.
She's
have a daughter that likes to read. How can you imagine?
I want to ask.
I hit the lottery, Eddie. What can
I say? So,
your wife has been trained as functioning in.
So yeah, she is in her career has been a CLEAT certified mental health trainer.
Okay,
educating
that means helping law enforcement
right
on psychiatric issues.
Correct. How to interact and interface with individuals in our community that are experiencing a mental health crisis or in a state of mental illness.
I may have worked with her because they bring a lot of us from NAMI, National Alliance Mental Illness, to there to tell family stories to help law enforcement bring balance to their training. And then she's you've caught the bug from her because you've gotten involved in community giving back and some of those nonprofit things that government, we don't want them to do.
Sure.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's working. Community service has always been a big part of my life. I mean, we were talking before the show about, our history, our common history in the Boy Scouts. And I was an Eagle Scout, and obviously that involved a lot of community service up in Veneta and in the Bartlesville area where I grew up and scouted. And in my professional career, I wanted to get back into that kind of a giving mindset. And so I've joined and have been a member and board member for numerous nonprofits throughout the Tulsa metro area.
I'm sure your wife drags you along to a few more of them.
Well, actually, I think I drug her.
Is that right?
Nonprofit service.
Yeah.
She was a public school teacher.
Oh,
she taught fourth grade at Union for the early part of our marriage. And, when that was starting to wear on her and the burnout was clear and
that'll
onset, we looked into the nonprofit community and she really fell in love with that. And obviously, that's transpired into a mental health focused work for the last several years. But yeah, served on the board and was board president for Youth Services of Tulsa, Youth at Heart, one that does after school activities for young people throughout Tulsa public schools. Modus, which provides removes transportation barriers for a number of people in the Tulsa metro area, and Clubhouse Tulsa, which was a clubhouse, a psychosocial place for people with a diagnosed mental illness.
Plays a huge role.
It was tremendous, and I had a family member, a cousin, who struggled with schizophrenia, and suffered from that, and she's in heaven now and has been for a number of years. But the Clubhouse model was everything that she wanted. Yeah, everything that she expressed to her therapist for many, many years. That feeling of community and belonging and ownership of something. Was what she always wanted. And she got that in the end toward the latter years of her life. But she was in McAllister and clubhouses weren't down there.
Well, think about it. For the people who deal with, they need help. Maybe the caregiver, because I'm a big believer in empowering families to care for their loved one and give them whatever tools they need. But if the breadwinner, the only other caregiver at home, has to go work a day job, somebody's got to pay the bills.
Sure.
Do you want that person struggling to recover from schizophrenia or whatever, psychosis, bipolar, whatever? Do you want them just roaming the streets, or do you want them to get engaged, maybe get some training, connect with people, build some friendships, all of that stuff? And that's what your organization, now you didn't found it. It's been a long.
No, it's international.
I remember getting a tour back in the old 15th Street campus they had. But anyway, so I think that's essential in finding leadership in the state. And so I'm going to brag on you, because you didn't come in. In fact, when you came in last time, it was just kind of by surprise we found that. And to me, that says more about you than all of your insurance licenses.
Bob, nevertheless, you're running for insurance commissioner.
Correct.
Yeah.
And give us a little background on what caused you to decide that you want to run for insurance commissioner.
Yeah. So you spend 16 years of your career working alongside business owners and homeowners throughout the state. And you see and feel through those face-to-face meetings how much people in our state are struggling with the affordability of insurance and how they're struggling with the claims process with an insurance policy and how difficult and sometimes traumatic that can be for people. So that really laid a lot of the groundwork. But ultimately, I'm a son. My mother lives in the house that I grew up in, up at Grand Lake. She wants to live out the remaining days of her life with that Oklahoma sunset over Duck Creek forever till God calls her home. And every year we have to have the conversation about whether or not she can afford to remain in that home and afford the cost of maintaining and home ownership because of things like her homeowner's insurance and the way that goes up. Luckily, she has a great agent for her son. And even though I'm not a USAA licensed agent, I know how to play that game and work the system so that we can keep the costs down in a real way instead of just jacking up her deductibles and self-insuring. But seniors across the state are being put in a position where they have to consider whether or not insurance is going to kick them out of their house.
Yeah, sure. Now, here's one of the things that I'm going to ask you about, and I can't remember if we discussed this last time, but I remember I did some research to try to figure out why is our insurance so much higher than the states that have hurricanes, floods, windstorm, hail, everything, like Texas.
Absolutely.
Texas, where our big deal is tornadoes and hailstorms.
They got flooded last week.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is, why are their rates lower or equal to ours when? And then I decide, well, wait a minute, let me see. Because as you know, insurance is about sharing risk.
Yep.
the more people you have, the less the insurance. And then I saw that Texas has 32.4 million people, and we have 4 million. I think we're 4.2, 4.8 million people. So in Texas, they can spread that risk. Now, not everybody in Texas is insured, just like in Oklahoma, not everybody is insured. But nevertheless, that ratio is pretty much going to stay intact. And so when you're able to spread the risk with 32 million people versus the 4 million people, it tends to be able to. But the other thing that kind of bothered me, that I kind of suspect, I'm not sure this is, but I think in some cases, the other insurance companies, or the insurance companies in general, like to put the burden, use that as an excuse to put more of a burden on us. Mm-hmm. Now, as insurance commissioner, what authority and ability will you have to be able to rein some of that in and keep because we don't want it to be like Florida where the companies start fleeing the state, correct, right? That's the opposite problem. You get too tough. Well, we just won't write anything in Oklahoma. And then the few companies that are left have to charge more because more of the risk. So how do you navigate that?
Sure. So, oh man, that you asked me about a 2-hour question and we've got a short amount of time, but ultimately the state legislature did us a favor during their last session. Passed a bill, Governor Stitt signed it into law, and changed the way that insurance companies file their rates in the state of Oklahoma. We were a use and file state, which meant insurance companies could use whatever rates they wanted and just provide a casual notice to the insurance department that, hey, Eddie's zip code's going to get 25% more rate, and we're going to move on now. Now we're going to be put in a position, put insurance carriers in the position where they're going to have to justify those rates before we as the insurance department, insurance commissioner, allows them to take effect.
So you become much like the Corporation Commission does to utilities.
Correct. Yeah, it's going to be a more similar process to that. And it really is a similar process to states like Arkansas and Texas. Kansas has a bit more punitive and more restrictive filing system because Kathleen Sebelius was their insurance commissioner before she was governor. And, Democrats never met something they didn't want to overregulate. Yeah. But still, nonetheless, it's a modernization of the filing system for Oklahoma's insurance department. And I think it's very positive. We are going to have to, in my opinion, hire a state actuary. We've been contracting out actuarial services for years now. Yeah. We're going to have our own independent Oklahoma actuary to manage that process.
Help me out on this. The risk of pressing too hard is we'll have less options in the market. They'll decide
California.
There you go. But it's important to the voters that you understand that too. Correct. That you thread the needle, you do, fine line.
Absolutely.
Get the people the best they can get without jeopardizing it.
Absolutely. And we've certainly had our share of market disruptive events in my career. Pre-workers' comp reform, we had carriers fleeing the state for various and sundry reasons. Some because it was so unprofitable, some of them went bankrupt. But what I noticed throughout that process, and it wasn't a fun process, replacing large tranches of business in the comp space, but carriers responded, and we're already starting to see some insurance companies that I think were sitting on the sidelines for the last several years re-engage due to the pending litigation against State Farm and Allstate. Consumers are less happy with the idea of staying there and are looking at their options. So I'm talking with agents across the state, one in Stillwater just last week, saying that a company that we both represent that has been dormant is back in the game with fire and vigor, and the rates are great, and they're going gangbusters with
you care to say who?
Sure. It's Foremost Insurance, which is a subsidiary.
I signed with them. Yeah.
And they're seeing some real positive outcomes for their policyholders over there in Stillwater. And, it's that always kind of comes and goes. Someone will get hot for a 6-month period or a year period. And, sometimes that flows quickly.
Let me say, I have a funny story about Foremost because my first 15 years in the industry was with farmers. Sure. And so we started writing are what you call standard fire policies, which are not your better ones, prima business. And so we were having a hard time. Well, they decided to allow us to write with Foremost.
Mm-hmm.
And Foremost, I remember we were at a state convention down in Oklahoma City, about 500 farmers agents from around the state. And so they announced we're going to start using Foremost for a non-standard, non-standard homes. And so I'll never forget this, because so the guy goes up and says, so yeah, you come in, if you quote a house, you call up, we bind it. Somebody raises their hand. What about this?
What does bind mean?
Confirm the coverage. Begin the policy.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So anyway, and so how about photos? You call us, we bind it. That's it. No photos.
Wow.
What about? And the guy was just going nuts. How many times I have to say you quote it, call us up, we bind it right there. Nothing. I mean, they weren't taking photos, no inspections. That was the other one. And they were profitable. I mean, they were making money, and so these agents just couldn't, because farmers then not only did they have us inspected, then they had this thing where, like, if you're an agent in Broken Arrow and I'm in Tulsa and you're in Jenks, they would have me inspect your places, and then you have to go to all of his.
Oh, sure, because there's conflict of interest.
Yeah. Oh, that we don't have
want
anything.
Your commission.
Yeah, we don't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
But check up on you, and you check up on me.
Oh, they make you hate each other
in your spare time.
Well, your spare time. Yeah. It wasn't. No, we didn't hate, because we knew the company was doing this.
Yeah.
But anyway, so. And then, and farmers had been very profitable, but it just started getting worse and worse and worse.
Right.
And so it's interesting that sometimes, like, these non-standard companies are very profitable, where the guys who are doing the heavy underwriting, it's almost like the actuaries and the underwriters have to find some reason to justify their jobs and so forth. So anyway, but that's an interesting concept, and I'm glad that companies are starting to come back that we've driven out of the state.
There's been some relieving points and some data points in the market. I mean, obviously playing more in the commercial space, we work with some fairly sizable property schedules, tens and 20s, hundreds of millions of dollars of property values under a single policy. And when you have that kind of a structure, you're very much aware of what reinsurance costs, because the insurance company that's on the policy, on the deck, the name of that company, they're ceding off a percentage of that risk to the reinsurance market.
What is reinsurance?
It's really just a risk sharing
umbrella.
Yeah. So let's say it's a $100 million program. The insurance company's name that's on the policy, they really can only retain 50 million of that risk.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go to a reinsurer to pick up the top 50.
Okay, because that's what's in insurance. The reason we don't have, say, a local Oklahoma only insurance option, they need to mitigate their risk by having just as many houses up in the mountains, up in the North Prairie, in eastern United States, because they won't all have disaster at one time. If we just had an Oklahoma company and we had a really big tornado,
or hailstorm.
Or hailstorm, they would default and nobody's claims will be paid.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your geographic spread of risk is too tight.
Because I remember back in the early 90s, State Farm, who I'd been with for 30 years, eventually, after 10 years, they said, we're not writing any more homeowners in Oklahoma. And I went into my agent and said, is it just not profitable? She said, no, we're actually have more of the market here. And we need to wait for the rest of the country to catch up, because we're putting ourselves in a vulnerable place.
Correct.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, they had some issues on that with losses, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, I mean, from a regulatory standpoint, we also want to couple that greater oversight with a recruitment effort to bring insurance carriers that aren't writing in the state of Oklahoma here. Cincinnati, Amica, and auto owners are the three most prolific ones in my brain for whatever reason, that don't write in the state, that have tremendous satisfaction ratings, customer satisfaction ratings with their claims department. And I can tell you from competing against them in other states, because I don't just write in Oklahoma, their rates are phenomenal. And when I was an underwriter back in my Hanover days, competing against Cincinnati was a non-starter. If I saw that they were quoting or on the account to begin with, I'd tell the agent that submitted it, I'm sorry, I'm closing my file. I don't stand a snowball's prayer in Hades of getting to their rates, even with every bit of credit and deviation that I could muster. So companies like that don't operate in Oklahoma for various reasons.
Well, you'd said, and Eddie was talking about Foremost. I happened to get an unsolicited bid from a Foremost person, and I right away, Eddie, is this legit? And yeah, and then I said, can you compete? He says, I don't think I can touch it. Right. So I signed with the policy in March. 4th of July, some kids shooting fireworks caught my garage on fire. Oh, no. Fortunately, I put it out, but about $5,000 damage. In November, I'm cleaning out my garage one weekend, and all of a sudden it stopped. So I got all these tubs out in the yard. Well, Foremost sends a drone over my property and decides I got too much clutter. A firefighter couldn't put out my house fire if he wanted to. That was and they canceled me. So wow. I called my agent, and Eddie knows him, good friend Eddie's, and he said, yeah, get that cleaned up. And I said, how do you guys even know? He said, we didn't let anybody back here. It was a drone. So they're using drones now, and they're not knocking on the door. No. And so, I cleaned everything up. He came out, took pictures, got me reinstated. But I always thought Foremost was one of the brands that farmers own, farmers insurance. So anyway, I'm good. I'm back, but I'm not getting that same renewal rate that that had captured me. Sure. So to me, there's a little bait and switch going on in the industry.
Yeah, there's always that. Most companies have a discount for the first year that they write your policy to try and be an attraction. Okay, and then that goes away, and that's
so it's like a direct TV cable satellite where your first year, but you didn't realize you signed a 3-year contract. Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah. What gets me on those is that you sign up for a package. Mm-hmm. If you add or deduct anything from that package, your rate instantly doubles.
He's speaking from experience.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He got burned out.
You add HBO or you take away HBO, and boom, all of a sudden, you don't have the package we wanted.
They're weasels.
And now, that's a, but anyway, staying on the insurance thing. Yeah. Now, let me ask you, what authority do you or will you have as insurance commissioner regarding rates, regarding certain underwriting issues that may come up? So what is the insurance commission's actual involvement in those type of things?
So in talking about things like terms and conditions and underwriting processes, certainly the first and foremost job is to make sure that they're not unfair or unduly discriminatory to a given class of people, whether they be Black, Hispanic, white, anything along those lines. Old, young. And I think the old and young topic is one that we're going to have to do some investigation in. But there is a tremendous amount of authority from a market conduct standpoint. Now, market conduct investigations require market conduct complaints to the department. And that's something that has come up a number of times on the campaign trail. People don't want to rock the boat and don't want to, go to the regulator enough times to really give us the authority or the reason to do an investigation. That's something that I think we need to do a better job of promoting as the insurance department. This isn't going to come back and bite you. You shouldn't be fearful of retaliation if you turn in your insurance company for something that you deem to be wrong. We can't investigate what we're not aware of in an official capacity. But beyond that, making sure that affordability is going to be the main concern frankly, and how we manage that risk as a state on a macroeconomic level is something I'm very invested in. The OK Ready fortified building program is a way we're doing that at the state level right now, encouraging better building materials and construction practices for homes. I think we have missed the opportunity in the past, and I know this has been tried before, to set up something for Oklahomans to have like a health savings account for disaster and deductible exposure. So that I keep calling it the deductible and disaster savings account, DSA, whatever we're going to acronym it up for. But having a way that, say, your employer could offer that as an employee benefit and contribute pre-tax dollars into your savings account on your behalf. It grows in a market investment vehicle, tax-free. And then when the hailstorm comes or when you need to replace your roof on your own accord, those funds are available tax-free out of that. So you can make proactive decisions instead of reactive ones. Or in the case of the deductible scenario, you're actually funding the risk that you're taking by carrying whatever deductible you have, because it's self-insurance. That's what a deductible is. It's your self-insured portion of the risk. And many people have very high deductibles in our state with zero mechanism of funding it when the disaster occurs. And that's bad risk management.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, I told you the story of the drone flies over, decides, they're going to cancel me.
Yep.
The reason, first of all, I thought, fine, they don't want my business, I'll go somewhere else. Right. Well, with insurance, it's not so cut and dry, because if one company cancels you, my experience is they run in a pack. They ask, have you ever been canceled? If somebody else cancels you, we don't want you. They don't even want to hear the details. Yep. And so to a consumer, if you have a chance to appeal, an insurance company wants to cancel, you better take that appeal.
Right.
Because when I went to shop quotes, I got some great numbers. But if all of a sudden I try to do it again under the new conditions, I'm in a high risk pool and didn't know it.
Right.
So could you speak in greater detail to the consumers? And is there any hope for something better for a consumer?
Sure. Yeah, I think, the concept of insurance portability has been an ongoing one in the health insurance space. I mean, we have the HIPAA Act for that reason. That's part of the reason we have HIPAA. But having that same kind of an attitude towards property and casualty insurance is something that I'm invested in. Most homeowners' policies involve something called a CLUE report, which is basically a background check for your insurance activity.
Computer-linked underwriting.
Exchange. Yeah, there we go. We'll get that acronym. We love acronyms in insurance. It's a fatal flaw.
Yeah.
But
that's why I'm here.
But
say, what does that mean?
Right. Yeah. But those reports are fairly extensive, and they go back almost to the beginning of time. Whenever you first bought insurance,
we used to have a 1 year and a 3 year loss experience thing. Now they're going back 5-6 years.
Well, Eddie, I asked you to write me a policy, and that 4th of July fireworks fire, that was at that time not quite 4 years. Mm-hmm. And I said, I can't write it until you've had 5 years of no claims.
Until that old claim falls off the record.
And now it's 5 years.
Yep.
So,
and I
some is 6. It goes up to 6.
I've always felt that that's an overly punitive system. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we've got intent to investigate and hopefully curb. Things happen. And frankly, I'm a believer in grace and the power of people to change and learn from their mistakes. And I think if we can get Oklahomans in a more proactive risk management frame of mind, that will take away a lot of that moral hazard that I think insurance carriers were so concerned about, that they wanted that 5-year CLUE report as part of their underwriting. It's a little ambitious to say, you've got to change the hearts and minds of insurance consumers, because we've seen this attitude for many years, Eddie, that a lot of people look at insurance policy as a maintenance policy for their roof.
Yep.
And, every 3 to 5 years, I'm getting a new roof because the hailstorm's going to blow through and insurance is going to pay for it. And it's not going to hurt me one little bit. And that That is a contributing factor to where we sit in the marketplace right now. It's been the frustration of many agents that I've talked with throughout my career, many insurance companies and underwriters throughout my career. And, but I don't think it's an unfair expectation for Oklahomans who pay premiums month in and month out, year in and year out, to expect some benefit from the policy that they pay into. But I've always been the believer that the best claim is the one you don't have.
Yeah.
And if we can put roofscapes in a place where they're less likely to suffer damage from common wind and common hail, then I think we'll be in a better space.
Yeah, I just had one that I was writing this last week, and the thing now is, do you have a class 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 roof?
Right.
And so now, when you get a roof replaced, you may want to ask, what class shingle is this?
I did.
Yeah.
I just got a new roof July 3rd.
Right. And you get a bigger discount for having
you guys are insurance nerds. You know that stuff.
Well,
the rest
that's why I do want to, I never do this, but this gives us an opportunity to let people know what's available out there. Now, the roof is going to cost you a bit more, but in the end, it'll help. You'll get money back through your insurance premiums, and it'll be more hail resistant. That's the whole purpose of this, being hail resistant. We've concentrated here on the property and casualty. Let's move to like health insurance.
All right.
This is a big deal because back when I was on KFAQ years ago, came up the exchanges.
Right.
And Mr. Mulready, that's one of the big exchanges we had about
exchanged on the exchange.
Yeah, we exchanged.
I'm glad he's a good-natured guy.
Yeah, and I remember former state rep David Brombaugh, one of my best friends. Anyway, before he passed away, he would set up these meetings for us in McAllister, and we'd get in the corner, and we would spend literally 3-4 hours back there arguing about insurance and situations. But anyway, on the he was in favor of the exchanges at the beginning, Obamacare, basically Obamacare, and we were, or at least I was, adamantly opposed to it, the exchange system.
Sure,
and,
philosophically opposed.
Yeah,
I mean, really.
And literally, so not just philosophically, but just I was opposed to it, and let him know it. But anyway, so the thing about it is on health insurance, then when John Doak, prior to that, when John Doak was the insurance commissioner, in fact, the first time he ever ran, he decided one of his ads was that he's going to stop Obamacare, and and people bought it. They bought all this. Of course they did. That was the central theme. And John and I, we're friends now, and I think he's a good guy. We get along real well. I told him, I said, John, it's BS. You have no say.
Yeah, but Phone Holland says it sells.
You have no say on Obamacare or the exchanges because it's a federal thing, not to state, and you have nothing to say. You're against it, I'm against it, we're all against it, but we have no authority other than the ballot box and getting rid of it.
Yeah.
But
bully pulpit at best.
Yeah, exactly. So but now, would you let the people know about the state of that now? Because and here's one of the things that initially a lot of people bought into it, that it made our insurance rates low, but that's because the federal government was subsidizing, to like 90%. I think it started out at 90% of it was to keep the rates low. So, and that expired, in 25? I think it turned 25.
They had to do something to make Barack look good.
Yeah. Yeah, like makeup on a pig. But anyway, so where are we now? Where are we currently on all of that?
So currently, Commissioner Mulready's in the process of standing up the Oklahoma Health Insurance Exchange.
Standing up.
Creating
forming
state version.
Yeah, setting all of that up. He was authorized by the legislature to do so, I think in 2024 or 5, and has been in the process of doing that in these latter days of his term as insurance commissioner. And theoretically, this is going to get us away from healthcare.gov at the federal level. One of my concerns throughout any type of exchange process that a state or a governmental agency administers is, where's the agent?
Right.
Where is the local face and trusted advisor to the consumer who's trying to make heads or tails of a very complex and misunderstood system? And how are we going to incorporate that wealth of experience and expertise into this process for the betterment of the consumer? And I'm confident that that's been heard. We'll see what that ultimately looks like in January of 2027. But frankly, if there's anybody in the state of Oklahoma that I trust to set up something like a health insurance exchange, it is Glenn Mulready.
That's kind of his expertise.
It's where he comes from. It's what he's lived and breathed his entire career. We couldn't ask for a better person to shepherd that process.
Kiss up.
We disagree on a lot of things. Okay. I'm going to give the man his flowers where he's due his flowers.
We're friends. He's a great guy.
I know.
We used to go to church together.
I know. Yeah, he walked right into that.
I did. I did. And I've said that multiple times.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of that.
Okay.
We've got other issues in the health insurance space as well. The No Surprises Act was a very well-intentioned and very well-named piece of legislation at the federal level, but what we're seeing now is
surprises.
A lot of surprises. It created a mechanism for, instead of a lot of claims that are being sent to these arbitrators, they estimated at the federal level we'd only have 17,000 or so disputed claims that would have to go through this arbitration process. It's more like 2.6 million at a cost of $600 on average per arbitration. So we've created a $1.56 trillion industry in this arbitration model that is ultimately, the cost is ultimately borne by the plans, by the employers that are putting these employee benefit plans in place. And you're seeing costs go up at a even higher pace than they already were. We were already trying to deal with fighting the pharmacy spend in health insurance because pharmaceutical spending is a driving cost. Now we've got this arbitration piece of it as well, and disputed medical claims. I think we're going to have to close that back door through some form of a cap system for those medical claims. Maybe it's 2 times, 3 times the Medicare rate for a given procedure or something along those lines. Because right now it's wild. It's Wild West.
I got to say, there was always this Tea Party move of we're going to repeal Obamacare. Trump gets elected and he gets stood up by John McCain and a few other rhinos. And as soon as Trump throws in the towel and says, you know what, I'm moving over to tax policy, I'm done with this. That's when the impetus in Oklahoma happened to expand Medicaid.
Yes.
And I talked to actually John Jordan and Jim Jordan, I'm sorry, and Kevin Hearn about it. They were both here in town. And I said, look, we've got a state question here. It's going to make a constitutional amendment. And it's largely because we're seeing all that money going to other states.
Yep.
And we're not doing anything for the poor folk here. And is there anything going to happen, change? And Jim Jordan says, I don't see anything happening. And, Kevin says, so we end up passing it here so that we would get the same kind of help that we turned down, that other states are getting. Now, the healthcare.gov, the federal exchange, which I went to because I'm self-employed.
Right.
The funny thing about that is how poorly is written. It wasn't a sliding scale that slopes down to nothing. There's a cliff at one end. If you make $5 more than the poverty rate for your family, you almost get free health care through healthcare.gov.
Yeah.
If you find out you make $10 less than that, now you're below. Now they want all of those subsidies back. And we're talking tens of thousands of dollars in many households. And so there's a cliff at that end. And same at the upper end. You might be 55 and, making, say, $60,000. You might be getting half of it paid, but you make $10 more, you go from half of it to none of it paid. They put a cliff at both ends.
Sure.
And that's just bad government.
Right. But the whole issue I was trying to get at in the beginning is that the insurance commissioner essentially has no authority over any of that.
He's
That
got
is
the problems to deal with, though, that are created by the federal government.
Yeah, true. And it's kind of sad because I remember we used to have Sooner Care.
Yep.
And which was essentially a low premium coverage.
It's the state Medicaid.
The state Medicaid.
Are we talking about Insure Oklahoma?
I mean, Insure Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Thank you. Insure Oklahoma.
Still have that too.
We do, but
Well, it got limited by Sebelius to below poverty rate because it used to go up
Right.
to 3 times the poverty rate.
right, because I remember
I had it.
I remember writing a lot of people into that because it was very affordable and it was good. And
It's fantastic.
it worked for the state. The state wasn't really, I mean, they might have lost some money, but it wasn't like we're losing now,
Right.
And the hospitals either. And the other thing that I have a real issue with is this thing of, and what happened, what made me realize it, I had these clients, younger couple. And so one night after a soccer game, in the soccer game, my son got kicked in the head and across his eye. And so we thought it'd be okay. Well, like 10 o'clock at night, 11, he was in pain and so forth. And, and we're worried, we want to be sure to have him checked out. So we take him to ER, St. Francis ER. So we got there probably at 1 a.m. by the time we decided to do it and got in the car. It's 1 a.m. We go in there. And as I'm walking through, a couple of my property and auto insureds, people that I insured on that, they're sitting there with their kid. And I said, wow, okay. And so the next week I talked to him about something. I says, so we saw you guys there. Yeah, what happened? Oh, he just had a cold or something was going on, but we don't have insurance. So we went to the emergency room. And yeah, exactly. I see your face. Yeah. And so we go to emergency because they have to take you, insurance or no insurance, whether you can pay or not.
Right.
And so I'm just thinking, is there anything that can be done about that? Because that is one of the and it's multiplied to the nth degree with the illegal immigrants that have poured in, and they now receive their free health care. They just go and clutter up the ERs in our hospitals and delay, the time you're being seen. If you do get admitted, you've got gurneys all through the halls because they don't have rooms. So you've got, I know this because of my mother. We took her in one night and had it. My wife took her at 10 a.m. By the time they saw her, they put her on one of these beds or these gurneys and had her in the hall until like 3 o'clock in the morning before they could get her a room. So there's a real crisis there. And I mean, I know the problem is you really don't have anything that you can do about that. I don't think. Is there? Because it's so much of healthcare is a federal issue, not a state.
In the healthcare system, it's the tail wagging the dog. That's how I've always thought of it. It's a federally driven set of regulations and compliance measures to have to deal with. And I think as the insurance commissioner, the best we can do right now is provide support to consumers in the state of Oklahoma through the exchange, through good guidance and good advice, again, through some kind of a trusted advisor. And I believe that's an independent agent or an insurance agent, not a call center or a hotline or something along those lines. But beyond that, we're also going to do what we can to try and support access to healthcare in rural settings, in rural parts of our state.
How do you do that? How is your office involved in that?
Hospitals and healthcare providers are interesting with their relationship to insurance. It represents both an income and an expense on their statements. I mean, obviously they bill insurance providers, and some of them in Tulsa metro area own insurance companies such as Community Care. There's a lot of interaction there, but what we've seen a lot of on the expense side of it, which is where my world plays most closely, is there's got to be a more competitive marketplace and more support for them to decrease some of their insurance costs on the expense side, because that's a driving force in their profitability, and it's causing rural hospitals to struggle more and close at a faster rate than we've ever seen.
Here's my pushback on a little bit of that. That. I mean, we all want to see everybody get health care no matter where they live, no doubt. But what I will not support is subsidizing the family lives in Broken Arrow to help pay for the family lives in Broken Bow.
Right.
You know, it's we did this with the 911 deal and watched our phone taxes triple because Tulsa built out their 911 without any state help. Oklahoma City did. And then they assessed every cell phone. It used to be 25 cents. And then Josh Cockcroft tripled it to help fill in rural Oklahoma's 911.
Right.
When 2/3 of the phones that were being taxed were metropolitan phones.
Right.
And I'm saying this kind of thing happens. The second thing I'm concerned about is when we do these initiatives for rural health care, the people who really get the money is the OU School of Medicine and the OSU School of Medicine. They say, oh, we'll take care of it for you. And I don't see people holding them accountable to see that they're really doing that.
I'll tell you where I'm seeing more success.
Mm-hmm.
We've all got plenty of failures in the state to look at, but let's talk about the successes. I think what particular tribes are doing right now relative to healthcare in their jurisdictions and their geographic areas has been phenomenal. And I'm very supportive of, and I'm grateful, frankly, that they're doing it because they're providing services and resources in a vacuum, in a desert.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think we could see expand. And I hope that they continue to go down that path and chart that course. Your issue about subsidizing rural healthcare with metropolitan healthcare dollars, if we don't support the rural healthcare systems, you're going to wind up doing it anyway because they'll be acquired by the larger health systems.
Why would they do that? If it's a bad investment, why would they?
I don't know why they would, but they've been doing it for many years. I mean, obviously Integris and St. Francis.
Well, they wouldn't do it if it wasn't. Eddie just did the thing that said, if there's money in it, they'll do it.
Well, there's an asset there.
Yeah.
There's always going to be a physical plant asset. There's equipment. There's
the better way,
the docks,
to the extent we can, is maybe look at the kind of regulations we put on everybody and see if, the local pediatrician who retired down to Antlers, Oklahoma, maybe we can make it a little easier for him to keep practicing.
Sure.
And that may involve the health department, the Oklahoma Medical Association, and maybe a task force is needed. Yeah. The other thing I want to ask you, who regulates or who would take an initiative legislatively? Is the Commerce Department, when you've got an issue where you say insurance needs some statutory help here?
Sure.
Who did Glenn go to? Because Glenn was part of that.
Oh, sure.
World.
Yeah, he was definitely in the legislature, and his track record there benefited him to a degree. We've certainly got great relationships with the movers and the shakers in both the House and the Senate relative to insurance legislation. And obviously on the Senate side, you've got Aaron Reinhardt from here in Tulsa, South Tulsa, Jenks area. He and I have virtually the same sort of career path.
Yeah.
We've been in the industry at the same time. I used to underwrite for him.
But if you're really going to be successful, it's going to take working together with those legislative counterparts.
Absolutely. And certainly on the House, Representative Sneed chairs the insurance committee right now on the House side. Had great conversations with him. He's been very receptive.
What committee
to a lot of
is
these
that?
Ideas. In the House side, it's the insurance and financial services.
Okay. I don't know why they don't list it on here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Representative Chris Sneed out of Muskogee chairs that committee currently. And obviously Stacey Jo Adams from down in Duncan, she's an independent, she's an agent herself in the House, and she helped co-author some of the legislation reforming our rate filing system. So
Yeah.
I think there's now more than ever some fantastic legislators with good insurance minds in our state government.
Yeah, in real world history that they draw from.
I mean, even in my opinion, soon to be representative again, Sheila Dills out of Jinx. Her late husband Joey was a giant in the commercial insurance space. Was probably one of the brightest and most intelligent oil and gas insurance professionals I've ever known. And you don't stay wed to that kind of a person for very long without absorbing. She's got a tremendous acumen for the insurance space, and obviously her father, Jack Luganbuehl, owned and operated funeral homes up in Veneta for many years, which he had to be licensed by the insurance department to sell those final expense pieces. Yeah, actually, I'm from Veneta, mom's side of the family.
That's right.
So
you were born with Oklahoma values, but you're born in Oklahoma.
I was born at Hillcrest here in Tulsa and grew up at Grand Lake. And I've lived in, obviously, Cleora, Grand Lake, Veneta High School, Muskogee when I went to Bacone for a year, and Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, and here in Tulsa, and now Inola, most infamous little town in.
So now let me ask you, your insurance license is Oklahoma, correct?
It is. I have a resident license from the state of Oklahoma.
Not a what do they call them? The licenses you can get in other states.
Non-resident
license.
I have non-resident licenses, but they're for other states.
Right. Yeah, but you're actually an insurance, Oklahoma insurance guy.
You know what? That's got to help you being able to compare state to state.
It does. It absolutely does. I mean, early in my career underwriting, Oklahoma and Arkansas agents and seeing business come in from both states and literally 1 week writing policies on both sides of the border, West Siloam Springs, Colcord area, and Siloam Springs, Arkansas, and seeing the significant rate discrepancy between very similar properties, very similar buildings. Obviously, geographically, you could throw a hat over the two of them.
Yeah.
and seeing that the Arkansas property was 50% less than the Oklahoma property, same deductible, same
Kansas rates.
Kansas rates do the same thing. But that having seen the industry through multiple states, having operated there, seeing the differences in litigation environments, the litigation topic seems to keep getting brought up in this conversation. I've operated in some of the most heavily litigious states. You mentioned Florida, and Georgia for that matter, and seeing how they handle their business and what that does to your insurance costs in the commercial liability space. It's very different from homeowners, but Oklahoma's, I think right now we're the 14th best state from a litigation perspective in the country. I mean, we're not the best, but we're certainly not the legal hellholes of Illinois, New York, and California either. So
there is a separate kind of state agency that just deals with workers' comp, right?
Yeah, the Workers' Comp Commission.
But do they answer to the Commissioner of Insurance?
No, it's a bit more separate. There's a lot of collaboration that goes on there.
And the Oklahoma Healthcare Authority.
Do
they answer to the Commissioner of Insurance? No,
the Healthcare Authority is an appointed position.
Yeah.
And same with the Workers' Comp Commission.
So you're really I've just named 3 different people that handle insurance and providing for care, particularly in healthcare. And it's interesting. The Department of Labor has a little bit to do with it too when it comes to workers' comp enforcement and all of those things. So it's you got to be a team player.
You definitely do, and it's again, I think it's just the right time for us to come into this role because we've got great relationships with all of those agencies. Operating in the senior living space like I have for so many years, we're certainly no stranger to the players at the Healthcare Authority because we advocate for our clients in that space with them frequently. And obviously DOL with their OSHA and state
Department of Labor.
Again,
that's right.
Acronym heavy. I appreciate it.
I just want to be sure.
Translate for the people at home. And certainly had a lot of colleagues and a lot of friends.
You don't get there by living in a condo in Hot Springs, Arkansas, like your opponent's been doing, and voting in Arkansas elections, like your opponent's been doing lately. You know, so I went there.
He had to go there. He had to go there.
Talk about grace. He's biting. No, he's not biting his tongue. He's grinning. But,
no, one thing I do have to say, and this I appreciate more and more, especially we talked off the air earlier about how contentious the whole gubernatorial race is. And to your credit, that, and I've always felt this way. It's about you. We want to elect you because of who you are, what you bring to the table, not what you can bring against the other person. And this is the thing that I just drives me nuts.
I'm the one throwing mud, no doubt.
Yeah. After he's gone, you can throw all the mud you want. But let's not drag him through the mud to get.
I'm listening.
I do want to say this, and Eddie, you may remember this. Famously, Pat Campbell, when he was on KFAQ one day, he talked to Terry Simonson. And it was about something where we were waiting on the Oklahoma Supreme Court to make a ruling on something that clearly, to Pat and most of his listeners, it was a no-brainer. And Terry Simonson says, Pat, the Constitution says whatever the Supreme Court says that it says. And as much as I hated to hear that,
it's true.
Terry said, yeah, it's true. If they don't believe it says it, they're going to rule, and they have supreme authority. And so, there is the spirit of what's written in our Constitution. When it says you got to be an Oklahoman, I don't want to hear these, well, I kept my, voter registration
Dave,
here.
Can we table that until we allow our guests to leave?
All right.
And then you can talk about all you want. We're just talking to.
Stay tuned, folks.
He's hard to get.
But I will agree with you. All of my interactions with you and Marty, you're two fine men who've run a high road campaign.
Yeah.
The media has done its job in holding accountable where need be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been a pleasure, honestly, to travel the state and get to spend some time with Marty Quinn and his wife. Wonderful human beings. I had a torn Achilles back in January and February of this year. And of all of my competitors, Marty held the door. Marty offered to carry things for me. He's a gentleman. I have tremendous respect for him, and I pray for him. He's a great man, and I'm grateful that he's in this race. And I'm glad that if it's got to be two of us button heads, I want to keep this about the issues.
His parents should. I'll say one more thing, Mom. His parents should be proud of him.
Correct.
He went back to Arkansas to take care of them.
Absolutely.
Or at least that's what I read.
I believe it was his wife's family.
Okay. Yeah. Fair point.
Yeah, but he's taking care of his mother right now.
Okay.
So at any rate, but yeah, keeping this about the subject of how we're going to fix insurance, I think we're going to win this race and win this election based on the plan that we're putting forward, because it's got the data behind it. It's going to improve the risk characteristics of Oklahoma, and it's going to bring down costs and ensure affordability for our state citizens and policyholders. And that's the point of this, right? To be that advocate and that watchdog for the consumers. And I wouldn't be running in this race if I didn't think I was the best person for that task.
Well, you saved me. That is exactly where I wanted to go. Give you an opportunity to give a closing argument or closing statement, and I appreciate that. If there's anything more you want to say to our audience,
absolutely. I'm grateful for this platform. Thank you, gentlemen, both. Again, it's always an honor to share the air with you, but you can find out more about the campaign at votebobsullivan.com. You can see the plan at votebobsullivan.com/plan. It's in magazine format. Unfortunately, it's got photos of me in it too. So apologies in advance for the eye strain.
Do you balance it out with your wife and kids?
Yes, I do.
There you go.
That's the only way to make this work.
Yeah.
Got to put the pretties in with this ugly. So I appreciate you, gentlemen, but would appreciate your vote on August 25th in the upcoming runoff. And we're going to make insurance fair again for Oklahomans.
Wonderful.
God help you do it.
Well, Bob, hey, thanks so much again for coming in, and good luck to you. And about a month from now, we'll
month from today.
Yeah. All right, God bless and take care. Okay.
You as well.
All right.
Yeah, yeah, yo. If you don't know that music, then you're probably not watching a lot of Netflix, because that is the song that became a re-hit from the show Stranger Things. And it's interesting because I've had this on my list for probably 30, 40 years. It's Kate Bush, who is kind of very unusual. She's not your typical artist. She's a British artist, and kind of quirky, but incredible talent and writer. She writes her music, and other people. In fact, Prince did one of her songs later. It's called, I'm trying to remember the name of it now. About a woman. Anyway, if I find it, I will put it on the air. I mean, on our podcast. Oh, I'm sorry. I like it that way.
One other
on the website,
notable moment in her career was the 2012 London Olympics, where the closing ceremony featured her song with choreography and everything. It was Running Up That Hill.
Yeah, actually, what's funny with Running Up That Hill, the video that accompanies it, you can see it on YouTube too. It features Donald Sutherland. Donald Sutherland in her, and they're doing some weird thing where they're seeding clouds. They're shooting with this machine, and it rains at the end. But
Donald, no, he played the villain in what was that?
He's played a villain in a lot of things.
No, the
you're not
Catching Fire.
You're not talking Kiefer Sutherland.
No,
that's his son.
Right. But Donald, Catching Fire, Jennifer Lawrence.
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
He played the villain in the Hunger Games.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he was the head guy.
Now
that's
people
true.
can picture who we're talking about.
Yeah. But I will always picture him. His first role that really broke it was The Dirty Dozen.
Right.
He was in The Dirty Dozen. That was his first breakout. That was the breakout role that made him.
The music video was a Donald Sutherland of like 40 years ago, wasn't it? 80s?
Yeah, it would have been 80s. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 40 years ago.
Right. But he hasn't changed much. In 40 years. I mean, he hit and held his spot. But I'm trying to remember. I guess he's still alive. I can't remember if he died recently. It would have been in the last year. But terrific actor. I mean, just great guy. And seems like what I really appreciate more and more these days is your quiet actors. He didn't have to open his mouth about anything political or socially or anything like that. He just lived his life, gave us good roles, and stayed with that way. And I think Kiefer's his son has been pretty much that way. And I wish we had more. We have too many Ben Afflecks and his guy and the movie The Odyssey. Oh, we'll talk about The Odyssey. I'm sorry, make your comment.
Yeah, the interesting thing is certain names that are legacies.
Matt Damon is the person I'm thinking of with Ben Affleck. But go ahead.
The legacies of certain names that are so prominent in Hollywood. In Oklahoma, there are certain names in leadership, and Sullivan's one of them. And who you just heard, Bob Sullivan, he's not the most famous Bob Sullivan.
Right, which is weird. And so many people I know thought he was the son
Yeah.
of the other Bob Sullivan.
Right. And Bob is an oil and gas guy. Actually, was a client. He and Jeannie, I know their family well because I put up their Christmas lights.
Nice guy. Nice guy.
And he had a great family. And I thought that, like you.
He was junior.
And it's not the only, you had John Sullivan, Dan Sullivan, so many of them.
And none of them are related. That's what's
yeah.
So Sullivan is quite
a lot of Irish Catholics.
I wonder if they're related to Ed Sullivan somewhere. Anyway, but getting back to this, which will start out the new segment of our program.
Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to Fresh Black Coffee. And we thank our friend Bob Sullivan for coming in again today. And we encourage you to vote and look at all candidates. And we'll have the video up. Well, many of you will see it then. But anyway, I wanted to get to this movie, The Odyssey.
Okay.
I want to say the Iliad and the Odyssey, but this is the Odyssey.
I do want to finish up on the Bob review of what we just heard. There's something you said that we teased about that I could point out.
Later.
You want to go later?
Okay. All right. Just hold in fact the Odyssey later. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. What this is all about, and I'm at the KGOU educational radio station website, kgou.org.
This is in Norman.
Yeah. And they deal with, here's the thing, they have concerns about because Bob Sullivan had to sign an affidavit, legally binding document when he filed for office. It says, I've lived in Oklahoma the last 5 years. I'm paraphrasing. And Marty signed the same thing in order to file. We find out he did not truthfully sign that because he ran for Congress in 2022.
Congress or the State House?
Congress.
Oh, Congress.
2022.
Okay.
And that was that crowded field of special election when Mark Wayne Mullen ran to the Senate, right? Okay. And the top two guys only didn't even get 15%. Marty got 7% in that crowded field, Well, anyway, then after that, he moves to the Hot Springs, Arkansas area. We find out you don't have to be born in Oklahoma to run, but to say I was born with Oklahoma values is a bit deceiving. And he does say that on his campaign.
Well, was he born in Oklahoma?
He was born in Dierks, Arkansas, which is about 100 miles from the Shreveport area of Louisiana.
Down south. That's
way down south. Mm-hmm. But that's fine. I'm an Oklahoman by choice too. So are you. That's cool. Actually, I think that's admirable. So anyway, he not only moved there, he bought a house, filed for homestead, and, to get the better rates, cut on his county taxes, and bought a $500,000 condo, which in Hot Springs, the timeshare industry collapsed that market there years ago. Well, anyway, and then we find out this is worse than what Mike Hunter tried to pull on us. Because Hunter said, well, I kept my voter registration in Oklahoma, so therefore I'm an Oklahoman, even though I've lived in D.C. Marty re-registered to vote as an Arkansas resident and voted for Trump on the Arkansas election ballot. He has not, in any sense of the word, remained an Oklahoman for 5 years preceding his.
Dave, let me just say this. In a couple of weeks, we will give you the opportunity to ask Marty that in person.
Yeah. Because
he said he wants to come on.
Good.
So we will offer you the opportunity to ask that in
there
person.
We go. Because, and I just think, be honest with the people. In Oklahomans, what's the letter of the law? What's the spirit of the law? And let's go with that.
Yeah, we hope it's not one of those.
But I what's that?
No, I said we hope it's not one of those situations where they take the hits.
Oh, yeah.
Walk.
No, that's true. Hey, listen, I do concur with the gracious words that Bob Sullivan said about the character and kindness of Marty Quinn. He's known for that. And he's taking care of the in-laws right now, the mother and father-in-law. and others. So, I mean, he is a man
in Arkansas.
Yeah.
I'm just
yeah. But and that's to be commended.
Yeah.
I just
see like you said, it's such a tough thing. It's easy when you've got people that you know and respect and think well of running against someone that you don't respect and don't think so well of, as in our gubernatorial race. And I'll let you figure out who I'm talking about. But when it's two people that you like and and it makes it a little tougher. So that's why we allow them the freedom and ask the questions and so forth. So, okay. So back to the situation. There are two issues that I want to lead with. One is the whole Odyssey film, and the other is World Cup. Okay. So anyway, as far as the Odyssey goes, new film with Matt Damon. It's got this honor roll, of stars. Okay. There's a lot of, in addition to Matt Damon, you've got, I'm not even going to start naming them because I'll forget somebody, but just trust me, you can look it up. So anyway, this movie comes out, and when I say the name Helen of Troy, what do you think?
A Greek.
The face that launched 1,000 ships. A Greek, right?
Yeah,
correct. Greek. And beautiful Greek, and it's the face that launched. And I will say, one of the most beautiful girls in my life that I've ever seen was Pontieta Georgakopoulos, and she was a Greek girl back in junior high school. Just down, just gorgeous, beautiful Greek girl that went to school in the town where I lived and was a neighbor.
Two.
Well, you see, he's got two. So, but the point is, Greeks make beautiful women. Okay. Now, later in life, I don't know if I can use another word, like let themselves go.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Think, folks. Think my big fat Greek wedding.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, there you get a full spectrum.
Yeah, there you get the full spectrum.
Okay, but then I also think of from The Godfather. Remember Michael Corleone has to flee to Sicily?
Yeah.
And then he marries a woman. He's describing this young woman to a shopkeeper. He says, she has Greek features.
Oh, okay.
And you look at that woman, she had very much a Greek look about her.
Right.
And there was nothing African. There was nothing Asian. It was Greek.
Right. So you just pointed out. So what do they do in the Odyssey? They make Helen of Troy, the face that launched 1,000 ships, this skinny, young, short-haired black girl.
Well, they need self-esteem too. They need the good roles. That's the DEI answer. That's not
what it's about.
Exactly.
It's about Helen of Troy.
It's not about some actress's feelings.
Yeah, exactly. And so no one, and
it's like the musical Hamilton.
No, I know. Well, yeah, but it sounds like I'm being a race traitor and all. No, I want to be authentic and just tell the truth. And Helen of Troy. When you think of Helen of Troy, there's no way on earth she was black. Okay, and at least they could have gotten a light-skinned black girl, but they've got a dark skin. There's no question that this is a pure black. In fact, the girl playing her is a Kenyan with a Japanese citizenship.
Yeah.
So
Eddie, did Robert Duvall play the leading role in the movie on Nelson Mandela?
No.
Would hell break loose if they tried to cast
or Martin
because it doesn't go both ways, does it?
All of a sudden they come up Matthew McConaughey in his incredible new role as Martin Luther King.
Oh, see, that's what you do is you have to show them the opposite and say, now, does that make sense? Would that fly in our society?
No.
It's a double standard.
They would burn the theater down. The black community would burn the theater down.
Joy Reid for the last year has had this blonde hairdo where she's culturally appropriating Donald Trump.
You're right. That's true. That's funny. That's right. She's got a Trump, the Trump dude. So anyway, but I won't even see the movie. I would not pay the money to see that. If you're going to be that free in your, what they call it, literary license or filmography, I'm getting tongue-tied, filmography license that you're taking, I don't want to see it. I want you to be as accurate as you can. This is a historical piece. Well, it didn't really happen. I mean, Iliad, Odyssey.
It's a classic among classics.
Oh yeah, but it's not real, and that's Christopher Nolan, the director and I guess producer probably. Anyway, he is using the argument that he's using his literary license to depict it. There's no need to do that. All you're trying to do is stir controversy and increase the box office by drawing in black people. Because you know that they don't want to see, because we're so racially divided, they do not want to go see a movie about white people. I mean,
that's it.
It's interesting because...
Yeah, it's white guilt.
Yeah. What's the movie? I can't think of his name right now. There's another similar movie about the Odyssey, and but it shows the trip that he took. I'm sorry, I'm not up on it. Yeah. I probably shouldn't have brought it up, but anyway, it's a whole different take. And so like I said, there's actually two current movies. One just came out a couple of months ago, and the other one, the new one, the Odyssey, just came out. But
something that surprised me yet doesn't surprise me was the first review that I was made aware of, and it came from none other than Ben Shapiro. He raves about this movie, raves about it. And now it makes me wonder why they're hundreds of $millions in debt at Daily Wire. They are. Yeah. They've lost touch. They've just lost touch. Yeah. And, I used to just love listening to Ben Shapiro's podcast. I haven't listened to it in ages. Yeah, I think maybe Ben is trying to draw a new audience because he's had, his big deal is his, and you can't really call it anti-Christian, but his distinction between Jews and Christians that we do not have a similar, well, first of all, he doesn't believe that Jesus was the Messiah. Right. That's his big, and as an Orthodox Jew, that is what they stand on. But yeah, there have been so many, this is what's so weird, okay? You look at all the old classic biblical movies from the 50s and the early 60s. They were all done by Jews. They were Jewish producers, Jewish studios, MGM, Metro Goldwyn and Meyer. The same people that did the Ten Commandments. Right, same commandment. Did Ben-Hur. Ben-Hur. Which Ben-Hur was a Christian novel. King of Kings. Right. Spartacus. Yeah, Jesus of Nazareth. A whole bunch. Well, no, Jesus of Nazareth was much later. That came in the 70s. Yeah. We're talking the 50s era ones. Yeah, that's true. Demetrius, the robe. These were all biblical themed and Old Testament themed, but they were done by Jews. Now, today, all of a sudden, Jews have to do everything they can to attack or show their distance from Christianity. Okay. And I'm just going to posit this out there, let our listeners decide whether I'm looking at a conspiracy here. Maybe they did the narrative about Jesus because they wanted to control the narrative about Jesus. Case in point, another person did a movie called The Passion, and the Jews were furious at how Mel Gibson. Well, you know why. The difference and distinction in the old Jesus movies or Christian movies is that the Romans were the bad guys. Mm-hmm. It was all Romans. Mm-hmm. The Passion was the first one that showed the participation of the Sanhedrin, the Jews in crucifying Christ. And you've read the four Gospels. I've read the four Gospels. Who was it that stood in the way of Jesus? It was the Jews.
Yeah, sure. It was. It was. Nevertheless, okay. See, now you need to have an understanding here or a distinction.
But that's my conspiracy right there.
Yeah.
Is they wanted to make the narratives of somebody else as a bad guy.
Yeah. Well, that could be true.
Yeah.
But then again, see, the New Testament, the Pauline epistles, clearly tell us that we are grafted in. They are the root.
Right.
They are the tree. We are grafted in branches and limbs. And that's the distinction. There's this new movement of that replacement theology. We've talked about it before, that Christians replace the Jews. So everything you read about the Jews in the New Testament cancels out but if you go to Romans, what is Romans 11, I believe, clearly delineates that Christians should not want to write off the Jews. Christians are not superior. We're not more holy, more, and I see it every day. What I see it in is in the behavior of Christians. Christians whose behavior is as bad or worse than the Jews. We've secularized. See, what the problem is with the Jews is a lot of their lifestyle has just been secularized, and they hold on to this name of Jew. But so many Christians are exactly the same. How many of us, and now listen, I'm not separating myself from I'm probably as bad or worse than most of the people that I'm talking about here. But how many of us wake up in the morning reading the Word of God, go to bed before bed we read the Bible, we pray in the morning, we pray in the evening, we pray throughout the day. We seem to feel happy that we say our blessing over food, and that seems, that's my prayer for the day. How many of us give to the poor? How many pray for those who despitefully use us and that type of thing? Pray for our enemies. It's hard. It's hard. Christianity is the simplest faith on earth. It's the simplest thing. You really don't have to go through rituals that certain churches want you to go through. You don't have to jump through hoops. You just have to believe and then practice every day to keep yourself, exercise, I guess I would say, to keep your faith alert and going. Because our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual powers, principalities, demonic activity that we don't see, but it is attacking us. Is attacking us as nations, as a faith, as a people, and as individuals.
It's not
that's something we have to come to reckon with.
The covenant with Abraham, which is a covenant of those who are the faithful along with Abraham. If you're not faithful to God and his Messiah, you're not an heir of that covenant, because all the promises of God are in Christ, yea and amen. And in fact, he says that we, under the fullness of Christ, all of the promises now are fully revealed, so that, referring to the Jews, I think this is in Hebrews, and Romans 11:25 talks about that they without us are not complete.
Right.
So it is in Christ that the covenant with Abraham is completed.
Yeah, we need to realize the Jewish history is a type or an analogy in a sense of what the Christian life is like.
Yeah.
And if we don't learn from their lessons, we're doomed to repeat the same things that they did. And so it's not. Now, I do not associate with many Jews, at least that I know of. I've had a couple in my life that I've dealt with and so forth and lived around. And in fact, living in the ghetto of Philadelphia in the hood, I remember they used to have what they call a corner store. And all throughout the ghettos, you have these corner stores, which is it was kind of like the early 7-Eleven.
Oh, see, I grew up with that in my town.
Yeah.
There's 7 or 8 of them around town.
Yeah, all around. And so they were all run by Jewish people.
In Philadelphia.
It was all Jews. And nicest people, and in fact, as a sidelight,
kind of like the Asians run all of the independent convenience stores in Tulsa.
Well, yeah, or donut shops. But anyway, I purchased the first issue of Spider-Man, Daredevil, the X-Men, all these things that if my mother hadn't thrown them away, I'd be rich. I could retire because they're so valuable now, the first edition. But anyway, I digress. But these were the nicest people. They were very nice. Well, what happened? And you could always buy and trust what you got was good, and the price was the price, and so forth. But anyway, I went back probably 5 years later, and they had been driven out. And now all of a sudden you have Islamic store, people running, black Muslims, and they were running. You couldn't really call it Islamic because it was black Muslims, Nation of Islam. But anyway,
and pleasant people, weren't they?
well, let me put it this way: the standard of everything about the store had fallen. It was not what it was before. Even the what do you call them? Philly cheesesteak, the little outlets and shops, they started going, and then they would advertise halal cheesecake. I mean, cheesesteak. That's so funny because cheesecake is a Philadelphia thing, the tasty cake. But anyway, so all of a sudden they started selling this halal steaks. And oh, man, I'm just chasing all kinds of rabbits, but I have to say this. So I had this Muslim friend here. He was a customer, and we became friends. And so I was asking, what is this halal stuff? He said, "Oh yeah, it is just something where they take a bunch of cows or sheep and they run them through their chute, and they have some imam sit there and say some bleep bleep." Okay, this is the Muslim guy. Yeah, this guy he says some BS, some beep beep about him, and then they're halal. They're holy. They're holy. It's like in the Catholics where you sprinkle them with holy water.
No, I'm thinking of it's the Muslim version of kosher.
Yeah, I guess. Well, no, kosher is different because kosher you have to. Well, let's put it. You're supposed to. And I believe the Jews do it more. You don't allow it to be contaminated with anything.
No, it's true. It's a cleanliness thing, not so much a spiritual anointing on the food.
Whereas in the Muslim thing, you raise sheep, you raise cows, and they're holy because the imam said some words over them. And that's what this guy was getting at. And this was a Muslim guy telling me that. But anyway, these people drove basically the Jews out of the black community, and you could see the declination of the community for it. The pawn shop, the Jewish people brought so much to the community. Who was one of our labor commissioners? I don't think he's there anymore now. He was there forever.
This would have been before Costello.
Say 20 years ago.
Yeah. See, I'm
sorry. No. What's the, who's over energy, the gas and electric? What is?
Well, that's Corporation
Commissioner. Yeah.
He was Bob Sullivan. I mean, Bob Anthony.
Bob Anthony.
Yeah.
Well, Anthony.
30 years he was in that office.
Yeah. Well, 32. Bob Anthony, he sat by us at something years ago, a banquet. Anyway, and he found out that my wife was from El Paso, Texas. Our family started our business. Yeah. And they had Anthony's all along the border. And they were taking the the poor Mexicans, that was a shop they could come into and buy things and borrow not loan sharks, the pawn stores were owned by Jewish people. They just have this knack and trust, but know how to do it to loan money and not go out of business.
Right. There were a lot of Bob Anthony's Catholic. There are a lot of Catholics that did a lot of. I mean,
Bob, you talking about Sullivan now?
no, Bob Anthony that started the Anthony's department stores.
Yeah,
Isn't that who you're talking
yeah,
about?
he's Jewish. His family is Jewish.
Wow.
Yeah, they're Jewish.
Boy, he sold himself to me as Catholic.
Oh, no,
I had no idea.
Yeah, so you had Anthony's all over the South.
I did not realize.
Yeah, that's how they made their money. But like I said, my mom, I remember when I was young, my mom used to go to Anthony's, you know, and everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it all went. So anyway, but
they totally saturated. I mean, Western Oklahoma, I lived out there in 1981. You know, it just every town had an Anthony's. It was a downtown store or in a mall, but Walmart killed it. Walmart
would kill. You know, it's funny when we first came from Germany back in '59. Anyway, and my parents didn't have anything, no furniture, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So we used government issue GI cots that they gave us, you know. And my parents had bought me a bed. I slept on the cot, and my parents shared my bed. And I'm 7 years old. Yeah. So you can imagine it wasn't a king size like we buy kids.
A lot of togetherness there.
Yeah. And, but anyway, surprised I'm still an only child. But anyway, the only thing they could do, there was a place we were at Holloman Air Force Base. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Now, where's that
It's about 70 miles from El Paso, but it was in New Mexico.
Yeah, that's right, New Mexico.
Yeah. And so, and the town there was Alamogordo, New Mexico. And so if you wanted to shop other than Commissary PX, where you had to go drive, it was like 9 miles. Yeah, drive into town, 9 or 19. I think it's 9. So anyway, there was a place called Ortega's, the Ortega family, and they would let you buy on credit.
Wow.
And so slowly my parents started buying things, furniture and this, and they finally got themselves a bed, a dining room table and chairs, you know, a TV. We actually ended up with a TV, you know.
Rent to own.
Well, no, this was actually
just straight rent.
Yeah, no, straight buy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
that's
by
right.
layaway.
Yeah.
It was over time. It wasn't layaway, I'm sorry, but they gave them credit.
Yep.
And Ortega's ended up building they became the biggest furniture and appliance store at least in Alamogordo.
Yeah.
They had a great reputation. But they became more. They were friends.
Yeah.
They were friends to my parents.
Community.
Yeah, they were friends, and my parents loved them. I mean, they gave them credit for who they were able to become because they helped them furnish.
Come a little closer. I forgot to change.
Oh yeah.
So okay.
Yes.
There we go.
Is this my best side, Mr. DeVille? But anyway, I still remember that. And in any event, that was a Mexican family, but the pawn shop owners, see, we have attributed success and becoming wealthy off of the poor as an evil thing. See, that's what people like Malcolm X, the negative part of Malcolm X, but that was because of his indoctrination. I believe he would have come out of it eventually. But anyway, your Al Sharptons today and so many of your black politicians, leftists and everyone, they talk about the greedy Jew. It's like Hitler and Nazis. They tried to portray all Jews as being these evil, greedy people, becoming rich off of the poor, becoming rich off the others. And that's not it. They just did business. They would give credit to, they would trust, they would loan to, they would help the people nobody else would help.
Yeah.
And in fact, my dad, he came from Mississippi, okay? This town, Bay St. Louis, Mississippi. And it was segregated way back, in 1930 when he was born and on. So anyway, but he told me where he lived, the community was Black, Jewish, and Italian. And the Jews and Italians were also somewhat shunned. They, in that time, not as bad as the Black Americans, but kind of almost on the same level. They were allowed to live in that area, but Black people couldn't live in the normal Irish or just Mississippian area. But anyway, and he told me how he and Jewish kids and Italian kids would get along and they'd play in their family. But anyway, the Jews were able to do that. They became wealthy by offering a service to the poor, whether poor Mexicans, poor Black, poor whatever they are. They just, because they know how to handle money, they were able to and they had discipline to save and invest, and they trusted in education. They saved up to send their children to get a good education and tell them, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a banker, all of these positions. And for some reason, the Black community and the Black leaders despised that. They despise that, and you want to become a community organizer.
Well, yeah, they're selling hate and bitterness.
Exactly. And so that's where we are today, and it just drives me nuts.
I have to say, my first year out of high school studying marketing, I'm at college up there in Minnesota, and they show a movie of a fellow owns a used car lot. And it's in a primarily Black part of town. I think it was Kansas City or something. But this used car dealer, happens to be Jewish. They didn't really show it or talk about it, but it was, when your name's Rubenstein, there's not many Black Rubensteins. Well, anyway, and he's kind of narrating this, a little bit of a documentary. And he says, I'm not in the car business. I'm actually in the finance business. The cars are just that
vehicle. Yeah,
that vehicle to which borrow money. And,
right.
And he talked about the way he treated the people. He made it very simple about the whole, financing stuff, and treated them very respectfully. And he showed this Black man coming in to buy a car, and he's talking to him, very respectfully. And then he says, if we take a car on trade, one of the things we always do is put a little note in an envelope with 37 cents and say, we were cleaning out your car, getting it ready, and we found this money that you left behind. It was a total lie. But what does that do? What kind of last taste in your mouth do you get about doing business with that guy? Is that he was so thoughtful and careful. Technically, that money that belonged to him when he bought the car, but he wanted to be fair and didn't want to be deceitful. And these are just little tricks. Some of them are tricks. Some of them are just, you want to make the people feel comfortable and welcome and valued. And that's some of the things that are missing. And I think, I've been in businesses run by Jewish people that didn't follow that, but more often they did, because it's just about what makes you successful.
Yeah, I think it's the children of the children that we're dealing with today. And it's that thing that got me in trouble a couple of years ago when I was running for office. Remember, we had an episode, we were talking about Kanye West. And he was attacking the Jews who run the entertainment industry, New York and Madison Avenue, those two. And in California.
Well, and the merch market, because I think his had to do with the retail line of clothing fashions that they were cutting him out of.
Right. But what it really was the agents that were behind all of this, and people.
And there was collusion going on, and it happened to be all Jewish people who were colluding.
Right.
And so what's Kanye going to do? He says that bunch of Jews.
Right. He was just telling the truth.
Yeah.
And so he never attacked Israel. He never said anything about the nation of Israel or, and Jews in a whole. He was talking about specific industry and location. And then, of course, that comment, because I said he's right, they run it. I could say the same thing about certain Christian record labels, which were run by Southern Democrats, who were probably more dastardly than the Jews running the public entertainment industry.
I've heard lots of stories about it.
Well, sure. So anyway, but getting back to our discussion, the gospel is written for those who accept Jesus Christ as the Son of God and the Savior and Deliverer of the world. If Jews accept that, they are the ones who are the root. They're the tree. They're the trunk of the tree. We, as Christians, need to be thankful for Judaism for being that tree that we can be grafted into. Now, I'll take this a step further. I've always talked about the Catholic Church. There's a lot of people, you and I were both Catholics. We grew up Catholic. My wife was Catholic. Well,
cradle Catholics.
Historically, I see Catholics as being a tree, or I always see it as a highway. Okay, and as you're going down the highway, then you had little run off of. You had the Baptists. You have the Presbyterians and Episcopalians or Anglicans. And what happened then, those roads of these different divisions broke off into new ones. And then you have more and more and more. But throughout history, until probably the last pope and this pope, the church has always maintained the right direction. You've always had these people splinter off into this, into this, into this, into this. But the main theme of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the message of Jesus Christ, went straight down this highway, okay? And then they would curve a little bit and do this and this, but it always came back to the middle. And this is what a lot of people miss and want to attack the Catholic Church. But if you want to go all the way back, historically, the Catholic Church is the one that brought the gospel throughout the world. And they were used. It started with the Jews, then the Catholics came along and branched out. So all of the flaws that the Catholic Church has, all of the flaws that Judaism has, does not negate the fact that God set these entities into existence for his purpose. And we can't just write them off. You can't just say, oh, Jews are done, they're going to hell because God replaced them with Christians.
Yeah, the hardest thing is the conflating that happens between the ethnicity of Jewishness with the worship, the belief, the faith of Judaism. And then even within the faith of Judaism, there is the essential heart of being a child of Abraham, which is ascribed by God by your faith, believing God. And not all people who adhere to a catechism are necessarily of faith. And we must always challenge ourselves as disciples in that.
Yeah, you could go further with that, saying it's not faith in your faith. It's faith in Jesus Christ as the Savior of mankind.
That's the completing.
And God, his Father. Right.
That's the completing of the Abraham covenant.
With your Jewish, Baptist, Methodist, Presbyterian.
But the foundation is in Abraham.
Yeah.
And anybody, whether you're an Orthodox Jew, whether you're Islamic, or whether you're a Catholic, as Eddie and I grew up as, it is Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and life.
Cornerstone.
Yeah.
So, hey, I want to get back to what I think I was dealing with earlier.
All right.
And we talked about the Odyssey and them picking a black girl to be Helen of Troy.
Yep.
and it's ridiculous. Okay, so but what I also wanted to deal with then was something that of recent, the World Cup.
Yep.
And up until this World Cup, people just kind of worshipped Argentina. Yeah. Argentina was just the team of the world. Messi was the Messiah instead of Messiah. But anyway, and they showed a new side. And they're on YouTube now. If you're a YouTube follower, avid YouTube watcher, there are now just hundreds of videos showing Messi different side. And what's really happened, there a lot of them showing Messi compared to Ronaldo. So you look at the Ronaldo ones, and Ronaldo is always, you got some fan, Ronaldo, or some kid, and then Ronaldo's going to a car in his limousine, and then Ronaldo sees it, he goes over.
Now, Ronaldo's with what team?
Portugal.
Yeah.
So Ronaldo goes over and he hugs the person and lets them take their photo, and boom, and then he gets in his car and he goes. And numerous things that were just shows the type of person he is. He's just a nice guy, a nice rich guy, not flawless, and he's a great player. I actually think he's one of the greatest ever when you really see what he has been able to do field right and shooting. Oh man, unbelievable. Well, anyway, and then the juxtapose that with Messi, all of a sudden you see him and people want to shake his hand. He done or play other players after game, and he just won't look at it, just keep walking, and he was giving the referee grief about some call that was obviously the referee called it right, and he's all in the refere's face.
I can't think of a player who didn't at some point in any match give the referee guff.
Oh, no, I understand. Ronaldo did. I mean, he was questioning, but it's different. When you see the video, you see the difference. It's not just going to the referee and complaining or questioning his call. It's just like really in his face that. So anyway, but what I really want to get at is the fact that Argentina lost more than a game. They lost more than a game last week. One of the big things, too, the issue people have brought up, when they were doing the medal ceremony, when Spain was getting their medal, the whole Argentina team is over with their backs to them. They're not. Normally, when you're the constellation team, you're standing, you're watching, and you're clapping, even though you hate it. But Argentina was like totally ignoring them, facing their fans on the deal.
Yeah, if what you're saying is true about this ethnic purity that they want on the Argentine team, you may have a deep problem of the worst form of nationalism, of that you're better than the world.
But I think it has, been demonstrated by their team.
But I mean,
team,
if it's in fact true what you're saying about them having their back turned to them, because I mean, let's face it. Here's my review on that final match. Spain had.
It wasn't Portugal, it was Spain. Yeah,
right. Spain knew exactly how physical to get and push the envelope without getting a yellow card.
Right.
They were far more physical. I mean, look. Shots on goal says it all.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was just the most lopsided match. And you like to
Argentina did not get a shot off in the first half.
Yeah.
The whole half.
You like to think that, the lopsided matches happen early. And the final 16 teams, all those matches are going to be great. I thought the most lopsided match of the whole tournament was Belgium against the United States. It was the worst United States performance I'd seen.
No, they were worse.
And I know
6-0.
Yeah, I know. See, you get a bunch of those early on.
Yeah.
But to see this happen in the final match be so lopsided.
Well, it was quarterfinal, but okay.
No, I'm now saying I'm moving to Spain, Argentina.
Okay.
How lopsided that was.
Yeah, it was pretty lopsided.
And Spain had I think it's the whole program in Spain. I think it's the coaching. I just think there was such a high level preparedness in every aspect. I think what you had Messi at times having to go up against a Spanish player who's half his age. Messi looked like he was 40. He played in that final match like he was 40. He didn't belong on the field at that point. I don't care what his legend is.
Right.
They probably should have benched him and bronzed his shoes and put him on the mantle.
Well, no, because he still was second place in scoring. He almost.
I'm talking about the final match.
Oh, the final match. Yeah. Okay.
I think he'd run out of gas by then.
You think that
What did you see? Did you see a Messi quality performance? I didn't.
No, but I think you're right because they played 2 or 3 matches to the full time and then the full extra time, and or into the second part of the extra time. Yeah, and so he might have finally worn out.
Now, let me say something good about Argentina. Despite how lopsided it was, it still ended regulation at 0-0.
Yeah, and ended up 1-0 after another 20 minutes. Yeah,
I mean that to me, there are aspects of the Argentine game that truly belonged there. And it was defense and a goalie that was amazing. It was his best performance, because there were a lot of good shots on goal that he saved them. It should have been about a 5-0. On regulation.
Yeah, he was Superman. He literally was. He was a good goalkeeper.
But that's where I see it as.
Yeah, I'm just saying it tarnished their name. It tarnished their name.
It did, and I think you got to have a good, fair look at how Argentina represents themselves, and I think FIFA needs to be the one that does it and say, "Hey, are you representing the entire nation, or are you systematically saying no? You don't fit the look we want."
Yeah. But the real tragedy for Argentina to me is it has opened a whole new window of people considering the nation of Argentina as a racist nation. And
they already had that legacy after World War II.
With the Nazis, that's where the Nazis went. That's true. But I never knew, I don't know how many people knew outside of Argentina and maybe surrounding countries of the fact that they essentially commit, we throw the word genocide around all the time, okay, which means extinction of a race of people, okay? What's happening in the Middle East is not genocide because they're actually cousins, okay? Yeah. So you're not discriminating against another race. You're just discriminating against people that think different from you.
Different clan,
yeah. Like the Hatfields and the McCoys or something. Yeah. But in Argentina now, it's been discovered that they literally exported or deported millions of their people, and then through some breeding situation, tried to essentially extinguish the black race from their country. And that's been coming out. I never had any. Go look it up.
Yeah, we need to look at it because
I don't want to say this and you not
go back to the 50s and 60s, you saw some great years for Argentina.
Well, that was Brazil.
No, I'm speaking.
You're talking about soccer wise, or
no, I'm talking about the culture.
Oh, okay,
of the nation. Yeah. When in the 70s, my social studies teacher trying to explain, he says, if you went to Argentina today, you would not know that you left the United States, except that everybody's speaking Spanish. That's the only difference. Now, then you had the military coups take over, and then Falkland Islands, and you had a lot of bad years, bad management, socialism, but before that, they were doing very well. By South America standards, they were massive, because nobody else was doing that well.
It was the Germans.
Yeah.
It was mein Volk, mein Volk.
Yeah.
Das getan, yeah.
Well, and you can't discount that. There are some German values. Nobody, I mean, growing up central Minnesota, where, keep in mind, Lake Wobegon, right? Mm-hmm. And you got all these different communities, little in Morrison County. They're all different ethnicities. There's Flensburg's German, Uppsala is Swedish, Sobieski's Polish. And they just were that way. Very segregated by ethnicity. But the Germans were known for hard working.
Mm-hmm. They still are. You go to New Braunfels, Texas, in that area down there. And what I find out, there's so much stuff that we don't know that it just will blow your mind. So, we always have the movies about Stalag 13, the concentration camps.
Hogan's Heroes.
Yeah. Well, no, there really was.
I know.
But anyway, you have all these, but little is known about American concentration camps for Germans.
Yeah.
So and they shipped them from Germany all the way to Texas.
Do you know where Google is right now in Pryor? That's a former concentration camp for Germans.
Well, there you go. Okay. Yeah. And so what happened, though, is the Germans were treated so, in fact, it's funny how I come across these things. So the reason I came across it is they would have dances on weekends for the inmates at the concentration camp. And so the local Texas girls would come and party and dance with the Germans on these
Shake a leg with a Nazi, huh?
Yeah. Actually, that's what was happening. And at the same time, you had Black people serving the prisoners and the people there. Yeah, Black people basically had no rights under Jim Crow there, but these foreign enemy were there and they were benefited. But anyway.
And meanwhile, guys like your dad were fighting to liberate.
Well, he came later. Sure. He came after.
But I'm saying he was actually serving.
Yeah, well, that's true. But so a lot of these guys, though, at the end stayed. And that's why New Braunfels and...
Yes, very German Catholic.
It's actually Neubraunfels. Braunfels is a city in Germany.
Yeah, there's that whole line from Austin up to Waco, a bunch of German towns.
Yeah, and even a little, I think more...
Yeah, like Round Rock, that whole area.
Well, Round Rock's Dallas.
It was actually the comedian Ron White, he lives there, and he talked about, there's a very German roots to the Austin to, Round Rock.
San Antonio, between Austin and San Antonio. Yeah. But anyway, that's just a lot of the history and everything there. But how did we get here to New Braunfels?
Well, we're talking about Argentina.
Argentina, that's right. A lot of the criminal Nazis. See, the thing, to their credit. Now, let me delineate again here. The prisoners that we had in Texas and up by, you say Pryor? It was Pryor.
South of Pryor, the industrial park. Right. Google bought the land that used to be a concentration camp.
So the difference between them and those who fled to Argentina is most of the ones in these camps were just grunt soldiers that maybe weren't even Nazis. They just had to... Because people don't understand, Nazi is a party. Not everybody that was a German citizen was a Nazi. Yeah. They had other parties. They had people of faith didn't want to buy into Hitler's thing, but they drafted and they had to go serve. So a lot of these prisoners weren't true, deep down Nazis through ideology.
So then I'm wrong to refer to the German army as Nazis. Because a lot of those, your mom was conscripted, but she would not join the Nazi party.
No, she wasn't a member of the party, although she did like Hitler. She was a fan of Hitler. My mother.
Your mother-in-law, though, was very anti-Hitler, right? Didn't she get...
My mother-in-law, no.
I'm sorry, your dad's mother-in-law, I'm sorry.
No.
Who was it had her papers burned by?
Oh, that was my grandmother. Yeah, on my mom's side, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But my mother later got into the thing of the Hitler worship and the German.
Wow, Hitler sent her birthday presents.
Right. So anyway, if I can finally get through this story.
My point was not every German soldier was technically a Nazi.
Right. That's what we're saying. Yeah. So the prisoners of war, they were happy to be out of the war.
Yeah.
And a lot of them never went back.
Yeah.
And that, as we said, that's why these places are like that in Texas. And I don't know, Pryor may have some that stayed and developed or whatever.
Can I just go down that rabbit trail? After World War I, the German people were made to bear the brunt and have to pay reconstruction of France. And it was the breeding ground for Hitler's message, just how poverty-stricken Germany was.
Well, and then when we hit the Depression, it got that much worse.
Yes. So if I'm a POW, German guy, and I'm here in the United States, and I'm like, I'm not a fan of Hitler. It's ruined my family. It's ruined Germany, and that. I'm thinking if I go back there, it's going to be just as bad as Grandpa had it after World War I.
Oh, it was bad. It was poor.
I mean, what you were born into was pretty bad squalor.
Yeah, a good meal for me. And still today, one of my favorite, my wife has gotten used to it, but I would take the German bread, butter, and then radishes, sliced radishes, and you put salt on them and let the radishes bleed water. I don't know if you know that.
That salt trick.
The salt, it sucks the water out of the radishes, and then you kind of, that salty radish, I gotta be careful, I'll start drooling over that. Yeah. People can't imagine a radish
because that
sandwich.
Harsh bitterness of a raw radish, the salt changes.
Right, it does. And so, but anyway, so that is still there. And Germany today is a whole different, I mean, there's so much of a dynamic involved there because then you had the split between the East and the West. Yeah. And then, the communists trying to take over there. They went to the socialist movement over there. Yeah. And there's so much involved there. But anyway,
destroyed the people.
But getting back to our original discussion about Jews.
Okay.
Take us all the way back to.
I thought we were Argentina. I'm sorry.
No, that was, well, yeah, but I'm saying this relates us back to that. The only reason I was bringing Argentina in was their behavior at the World Cup has diminished them. And then now it's brought up these articles you can read about the whole thing, kind of not genocide because they weren't killing a race. They were essentially driving it out. Mm-hmm. So we'll stop there, but I do want to add this as a little side note. There was a movie called Australia with, what is her name? Keith Urban's ex-wife, Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman, and then this
She's a lot of actors' ex-wife.
Well, okay. So anyway,
what's his name? Cruise?
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
They were married too.
Yeah,
I know.
So isn't that what I said? Who did I say? Keith Urban. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But anyway, so what the Secretary of State for the nation of Australia did, you got to see that movie. It's a great movie. Australia is the name. Just Australia is the name of it. With Nicole Kidman and this guy. He's in the movie where he's an impersonator of who did Song Blue, Neil Diamond. Oh yeah. So anyway, it's a current movie, but anyway, these in this movie, I thought it was a joke. But they literally, the Secretary of State for the nation of Australia stated, "We're going to breed the black out of the Aboriginals." Wow. And so what he started doing, he would take like mixed kids, mixed Aborigines that somehow were birthed by white mothers or white fathers, breeding them. So you would have these mixed Aborigines. And so he would take them out and put them in these special camps. He separated them. And then from there, then he kept, his idea was to continue to between those, mix those, then take the lighter ones out and keep going until he bred the black out of them.
Eugenics, yeah.
Eugenics. And eugenics are a little different.
It is, yeah.
But anyway, but here's the funny thing about that. It's true. I learned about this from Walter Martin, who wrote Kingdom of the Cults.
He was one of your professors.
Right, one of my professors. And he talked about that genetically you can start with black parents and end up with a white descendant down the line.
Yeah.
But it never goes the other way. You do the same with animals. But it's just something. So, for example, that's why, I'm mulatto. My kids are what you call quadroon, quarter black. They already look totally white. Only one of them has any black.
They look Italian, to be honest with you. Some of them. One of your sons.
And now my grandchildren are like Aryans, blonde, blue-eyed kids. You would never know. And so it is true that I hate to use the word breeding, but that's basically what it is. But eventually that the black or the brown or whatever it is will end up in a pure white race.
Yeah, and we're seeing it with the Asians. I mean, Japanese.
You'll have that with your grandkids.
Yeah. I have a son-in-law who's black, married to my only daughter, living daughter. And so, yeah, I had a little grandson, bundle of joy.
Little brown baby.
Yeah.
So, but eventually, the black will be bred out of him too. If he goes the same way, if he migrates that way.
And by black, we simply mean Native African, because there's a lot of people from India that are a lot darker than you, Eddie.
That is funny.
And they're called white because they're Asian.
I know, isn't that weird? Even in the age of segregation, if a person from India came into the South, as dark as who's the one, the golfer? He's Indian. He's Fijian, but he's
Singh.
Yeah, Vijay Singh.
Yeah.
Vijay is about as black as you can get, but he's not black.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird.
Now, Tiger Woods is half Pacific Islander, right?
I think he's Japanese. I think he's Japanese or Korean.
Okay.
I don't think it's Pacific Islander.
I know he's not Native African.
No. Right. He's not an African American. He's he came up with a new term, which I have no idea. Ablasian. I don't know what that means. So anyway, we're wandering now.
Well, I have a number of things on my list too. Yeah.
Yeah. Politically, what's new? What's going on?
Well, I do want to just say on the the Argentine thing. Look, you deserve to lose because you're not a merit-based team completely. They felt like they had the liberty to play racist and still have a good team. And they don't have the best team, as we clearly saw. So, you're only hurting yourself, right?
In the end.
I mean, Eddie, let's go to the 20 or 24 Olympics. As much as Abrams had a hard time fighting society to be on the England track team.
Because he was Jewish.
Because he's Jewish, right? He beat the famed top record holders, the Americans. And now let's move forward 12 years. We send Jesse Owens, black man, to Germany. To Munich. Was it Munich or Berlin? Berlin Olympics.
Berlin Olympics.
He beats the Germans. And if the Germans would accept everybody, they might have had a German that was better than what they put up against him. So you're only hurting yourself.
Although, since the German soccer team has started playing black players, they stink.
Yeah. Well, now, see, there's the other part, the DEI part. Where you do set-asides that aren't merit-based, and that'll destroy you too.
Well, I don't know if I think it's still merit-based, but I think what's happened there is what will eventually happen here in America. And that is you get so ethnocentric in your sport. So, for example, basketball, let's say, okay. especially female basketball. You know, black women in the WNBA think they own it. And then
you're onto something.
Then they've got the allegiance of the lesbian community pushing this, and the left period, because those are two things that want to push their
lesbians have moved their way into just about every women's pro sport.
Well, right, but now in women's basketball, it's come to a head, and we've seen it through Caitlin Clark.
Yeah,
the treatment she's received now. It's funny. So you have Paige Becker comes in a year after. Okay. She's a good basketball player, but she hasn't done and doesn't have the shine that Caitlin Clark has, right? But they're pumping her, they're building her up. And now the latest thing is that Paige Becker has a girlfriend. Mm-hmm. You know, and her girlfriend is this mixed girl.
Okay.
That and they're on the same team. They're on the Dallas team. And anyway, but the treatment for Becker compared to Caitlin Clark and the Indian Fire is stark. There's just a total difference in the two.
Now, Paige is still with the Dallas Wings, right?
Yeah, and there's this other girl. Her name is Fuzzy or Fuzzy something. I can't think of it. She won the shooting contest last night. The WNBA All-Star game is this week. It's today. I think. But this other girl, she's a rookie now. Yeah, and that's they went to school together up at UConn, and now they're an item.
Yeah. So.
But anyway, what I was trying to get at, she's not getting the same treatment Caitlin Clark did, because Caitlin Clark has a boyfriend, and
that's it.
She's a girl. So anyway,
that's it. No, Eddie, I've learned a few things. Well, just the Christian music industry. One of the spin-off industries in that is marketing and public relations, and people will pay money for good press, and they'll have people massaging stories and trying to promote narratives and stuff. And if I'm Caitlin Clark, you bet I'm going to hire a publicist. And here's who I think now.
Apparently she didn't hire a good one.
Well, right. But here's who I think is being handled by a publicist now, is Sophie Cunningham. Sophie's become a bigger name than maybe Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
You know, in the cultural drama of things.
Well, and there's a difference between Sophie and Caitlin. Mm-hmm. Sophie fights back.
Yes.
They're afraid of her.
She's a different disposition. You know, Caitlin's kind of quiet. She lets her perform.
She's what we call a bad white girl. Sophie that's a bad white girl there. You don't want to mess with her.
She looks like the hero because she's taken upon the role of, you don't mess with Caitlin or you're facing me.
Yeah, or you don't mess with me. They don't mess with her either. Yeah. No, you're right.
She will get down and ugly.
See, that's the only thing that
even though she's a pretty gal.
Even the only thing I hate about Caitlin is the fact that she will not defend herself pretty much. Yeah, publicly or media wise or whatever, you know.
Right. And
she won't speak out.
That could be strategy.
Yeah, and it may be some of the contracts that she has with Nike or whoever, you know.
That's true too.
State Farm, she got State Farm.
You know, they just released an athletic shoe licensed with Sophie Cunningham, sold out in hours. Sold out.
Yeah, she knows how to work it.
It was just sweet. That's why, like I say,
you think she has a publicist, right?
Well, you would be stupid not to.
Well, but here's the deal too. Sophie understands that, what do we call it, the silent majority? Mm-hmm. There's no silent majority greater than the white silent majority. Mm-hmm. And they've been so beaten up and pushed into a corner that they're afraid to speak. I
Yeah.
guarantee she's not the only one.
It's the only thing keeping the 9% who are black, the only thing that's keeping them controlling the rest of us is white guilt.
Yeah.
And they got
and
academia
fear,
pitching
guilt and
it.
fear. Yeah. Because the ones who don't have the white guilt are afraid to offend the ones who have the white guilt and the minority community.
Well, it's that social ostracizing that you don't want.
Right.
And nobody wants to be called a racist, and they fear it to no end.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Which is crazy.
but I had to say, kudos. And I think what Sophie's doing is going to embolden others. But again, you started out at the point of what do you promote as a culture that feeds the machine? Because the urban community took on basketball, not just the young men, but the young women. And that's why you've got such a talent pool within the African community, the Black community. So what did you see at the opening of every game at the FIFA World Cup? You saw little kids holding hands with great world soccer stars. What does that say to little kids? That inspires them.
Yeah.
Now, one day I can be that person, because they vicariously watching TV, they identify with that little kid. I want to be there, with that great soccer star. And that's how you build the sport, is you have to start it when they're little toddlers.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, soccer's that way. Because my son played when he was like in the under 6. And then he didn't play again until he was in the 10 and under. And he just was not nearly he was the worst one on the team because he hadn't played between 6 years old and 10 years old.
Right. Yeah. It's hard to it's like speaking a language. Your tongue forms a certain way, your mouth forms a certain way. And at a certain age, you just can't.
Foot motor skills. See, I knew kids I grew up with that didn't take up tennis till 7th grade and were playing first singles for us by 11th grade. Tennis was one of those things. You could pick it up in a few years, really be up with everybody who'd been playing since they were a toddler. Soccer's not that way. Oh, I got one more comment. Bob Sullivan, said it in the first part of the show. Trying to comprehend the concept of offsides. I'm a hockey kid, okay? There's a blue line that tells me when you're offsides.
Right.
There's no line that tells me when you're offsides. You have to be watching every player at the time that the ball is kicked and decide if there was a defender behind whatever player got the ball.
But they made it easy for us now. They do have a blue line, but it's on video replay.
Yeah.
They show, and it's so funny because you'll see a guy like this and the defender's here. And on one of them, his arm was the only thing over. Yeah, only his arm was passed and it was offsides.
See, I thought as long as part of your body is behind a part of another.
It's the other way around.
Wow.
As long as a part of your body is ahead of the defender.
Yeah.
You're
now, I think the out of bounds is much like tennis. When a ball hits the line, the saying that we always told the kids is, if the ball's 95% out, it's 100% in.
Right. That's what it is.
So as long as part of that ball is touching part of the chalk line, it's still in until it's no longer at all.
100% out.
Yeah. So that was a couple of things that, me.
Other than that, it's not that complicated.
It isn't.
Not that complicated.
It isn't. In the skill of it, it just is phenomenal. So I think
the tackling rules too. Okay. If your foot touches the ball before it touches the other player, if you're the defender and the guys in front of you are coming and you slide across, you see these sliding tackle, they call it. And the guy goes flipping or whatever. And sometimes they'll throw a yellow card, warning card to you. You can't, that's a foul. A lot of times it's just a foul, but if it's an egregious one, a purposeful one where get the guy's legs and flip him. That's that red card the guy got in that.
Okay, let's talk about that because that was that an extended play or just before it?
That was an extended play.
Okay.
The first part.
But the way I saw it, it was more the guy charging with the ball ran into him.
No, I think we're talking about two different plays.
The one where the guy went flipping midfield.
Yeah, but the guy slid underneath him and hooked his foot, and that's what flipped him over. He came across him, and that's what made him flip because he
hit the ball first. The defender.
No, he never hit the ball.
Oh,
no, that's why. If he had hit the ball, no foul. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
So if you hit the ball and then you trip the guy,
what happens if somebody's coming? He's got the ball, control of it, and he's coming towards you, and he runs into you.
It doesn't matter. He has a right of way.
Wow.
As long as you don't get the ball. Now, if he's coming at you and you kick the ball to the side and he runs into you, run into each other.
Okay.
That's no foul.
Okay. And so
it's all about the ball. It's all about the ball.
Right. But then you got this, quote, egregious standard. That's where the acting comes in. That's where the drama queens play their part.
Yeah.
And that's the thing it annoys me the most about
a lot of people. And that's what it's so funny because we were watching the European games. Mm-hmm. And whenever Europe played, you didn't see that. When the North African teams, Egypt, who else was Qatar was in it, Egypt, there were a few more. I'm trying to think of who are the. Oh, and even Africa, Nigeria was in it, of course.
They would what?
They were in the tournament.
Yeah. Then what?
Oh, you didn't see the diving, as we call it, the acting. Like you weren't.
The Norwegians did.
I don't think so. Not to the extent.
I think I saw it every game.
If the Norwegians did it, they were playing a South American team.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Say, well.
That's code word for Argentina.
Yeah. Well, no.
No, I know.
No, because some of the word, Mexico.
Yeah,
Mexico. And who's the other one that started out and got eliminated early?
Colombia, Brazil.
Yeah, there was another one of the Central American ones.
Paraguay?
Yeah. That's actually South America too. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. But anyway, yeah. But if you watch all of them, they've refined it to an art.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally can't play without taking a dive.
It's the most unmanly thing.
Yeah. But the Europeans, they're just in Africa. Africans, to their credit, they don't do it either. They just.
Okay. Last week, you gave me a clue. You said you knew it was real when instead of putting on a drama for the referee, you're looking over to your coach, waving them on.
Right.
That means this one's real.
Yeah. When you're really injured, they take you off the field. Yeah. Or you call for them to take you. Or your other players that look,
yeah,
get him out of here. Yeah. It's just is. It's sad that is, and what happened. Here's what's really nice about it though is that there was one game. I came the first one where the team finally said, "Oh no," the referee refused to call him. Mm-hmm. So you'd see these guys falling and rolling around, and the referee just said, "Play on." And so the team is attacking down there. All of a sudden, the guy, he
gets up. He's running full gallop.
Yeah, he's running to try to catch
full
up.
Gallop, no injury.
Yeah. So after a couple of games, I think somebody had a ref meeting. We're in America. We can't play this anymore.
Yeah.
So we gotta clean this up. Quit calling those. Just let them lay. And they did. And after a while, after that, there were very few games. The Argentina game happened to be one. And that's what I think made it so egregious is the fact the referees had stopped calling those and all of a sudden got to the point where they were ignoring it. And when Argentina tried it again, it made it look really bad.
So we see this in basketball all the time. You see it in football is you have to adjust to, are the refs calling it loose? Or are they calling it really tight? And you just need that ref to be consistent the whole game and on both sides.
Yeah.
But in this, I'm sorry, but the whole tournament needs consistency.
Yeah. They do.
I thought the refs were in that final match really letting them play.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. So,
hey, we probably ought to get to some other news on sports because there's a lot going on.
There is. Did you watch Trump with the press correspondence dinner last night? That was a fun thing to watch.
Yeah.
Very unscripted, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. And it's so funny because he didn't hold back. But the thing that gets me about him, and I'm still, it's probably the main thing, negative issue that I have with him is his, what would you call it? His self-promotion. Mm-hmm. You know, because he'll just congratulate himself about stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, man, I know you do this, but is this a place you should be doing it? Because it's an unfriendly crowd. It's the press. Yeah. And they already don't like you, but for you to be up there, you know.
I got to say, Jonathan Karl impressed me in that he commended Donald Trump. He says, we've never had a president make himself this available. He gave me a cell number, and not just me. And then Trump later talked about it. He says, I don't know, I may regret doing it. But Trump just wants to be that accessible.
Yeah.
And Jonathan Karl basically vouched for him. You know, and so I think Jonathan Karl wants to keep his job because I think Disney is the next to go through a purging.
Like CBS.
Like CBS is done. And
it's interesting, though. None of the major networks showed, had it on.
Right.
And
I watched Rumble with the guy commentating on it, and he did 5 hours. That thing went on over 5 hours.
Yeah, because all the pre-speeches, all of the other people.
And Trump fell asleep during that.
Yeah, I was watching him over there.
Well, it was really, self-indulgent. Look how great we are. Yeah. And they're full of
now,
that
I guess
stuff.
that lady they kept congratulating or commending, the Asian lady, is she the head of the...
Yeah. And actually, her term has ended. They introduced a new person, but they still let her, since the original meeting was under her leadership, they let her handle it. About the venue. First of all, venues like this, to get them on a weekend night are pretty tough. And I think they didn't do it at the Hilton for any number of reasons. Next year, we'll be back at the Hilton.
They did the new Trump, or the one he sold, right? The hotel. Yeah,
to the the Waldorf Astoria. They took it over. He'd mentioned, he says, when I left town in 2021, I just wanted to get out of here. I wasn't all that motivated about keeping a hotel and promoting it. And so I sold it, but he went on and on about it. Here's the thing. I think he did the press a favor in helping them negotiate a good deal on a convention ballroom. And I think they knew at the Waldorf that he was going to go on and on about how great this thing is. That's a free infomercial, and it should be.
That reminds me. So what's the status of the new ballroom that he's going to build?
He said it'll be completed about 6 months before his term ends.
Oh, so they are still working on it.
Oh, yeah.
Because wasn't there court?
They tried to stop it, but there was so many national security components that both above it and below it.
Well, and they had torn down the other one already. Also, so they had to build something. Yeah.
And clearly it looked like petty, because they're doing the same thing with the Kennedy Center. Mm-hmm. A judge is saying you can't rename it Trump. You know, like the judge has authority over this. Yeah. At some point you just got to say, you know what? You have no jurisdiction. You're the judiciary branch. and you can't tell us what to do in our line of, executing, the administration.
Right.
So you had that. Trump, it seemed like he was ad-libbing this, but yet kind of going off notes, because he would keep saying, who writes these jokes? That's an awful joke. And that's the beauty of Trump being comfortable in his skin.
Yeah.
I think he was, and he even said it there, he was surprised at how cordial they were treating him that night. I think he was prepared for worse. And I think he held off on some of his zingers, but, and of course the whole press association, we are defending the First Amendment. Oh, get over yourselves. Like they're somehow, the protecting us from anarchy, I'm sorry. It was gag me.
Yeah. Let's talk about the war with Iran. I'm going to call it a war because that's what a war with Iran. Where are we on that?
We're not getting very much media because these are all middle of the night covert strikes. And I haven't even seen, even on the conservative cable networks, they aren't doing press briefings about what happened last night, what you hit, what you took out, How
many Americans have died?
4
that
I know of.
They're making it sound like it's 400.
Of course.
The media.
Oh, of course. They don't want, and it's Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah, it is, totally. Biden, what was it, 13 people got blown up at the Abbey Gate.
Yeah, and that's while he's tucking his tail under his legs and running, It's just, it was so pathetic. And Biden's saying, I'm so proud of how I did it. I've got some data center news.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, let's talk about that. Data center and the smelter.
I've got info on both, actually, from the industry professionals.
Okay, let's talk to the people because they need to know. They need to hear this.
Okay, so come from a big family, right? One of my brothers, who's EPA federal certified on waste disposal and has become a specialist in minerals recovery, heavy metals, precious metals in minerals and stuff. He lives up in Cheyenne. He just sold a company.
Wyoming.
Yeah. Just sold a company. Oh, it's been about a little over a decade ago for a 7-figure sum that he just built from scratch. When he left Boeing, Boeing had trained him to work for them in Seattle in that component, complying with EPA regulations.
Okay.
So I'm one of the, I like to start my day, the aggregate feed that I follow is citizenfreepress.com. They watch Cowboy State Daily, great conservative online news site covering mountain news, Wyoming, that whole area.
Wyoming Cowboys, yes, there.
And so anyway, I saw where Congresswoman Hageman, who replaced, Cheney's daughter.
Right.
She's, got this public open letter to Facebook on what are you doing polluting the waste management system of the city of Cheyenne. We want answers. I'm reading about this and I call my brother. I said, hey, what's going on with that Facebook Meta data center? And he says, look, they're claiming it's Giardia, which is that waterborne bacteria that can make you really sick. Mm-hmm. And he says, I ain't buying it. He said, first of all, they have had their own closed cycle water recycling because they have to use water to cool off these 3-story high supercomputer cooling towers, right? And he says they were told back in March, do not dump your stuff into the city sewer system.
Right.
Now, here's the bigger picture. There's 14 data centers in the Cheyenne area. Cheyenne is about the size of less than Owasso. Imagine 14 data centers.
Mm-hmm.
They're that massive. I mean, Cheyenne has the perfect air, climate, everything for this. And so they've been doing all that. And now they're claiming that, oh, yes, this had to come from you. You're the only one out here using this part. We traced it back. And I says, if your waste management system doesn't have Giardia in it, there's something wrong, because that's probably the most common, foodborne bacteria or waterborne bacteria. And he says, no, this isn't it. And that was the last we left it on that a couple of weeks ago. And then he called me last night and we talked. And he says, oh, have you heard the updated news? I said, no, last I heard you were skeptical. You thought that the city was finding some big corporate bully who's responsible for all this. And he says, well, they found out that this could not have come from the Facebook facilities, that it did come from other things. And now Facebook is suing the city of Cheyenne for defamation because the fallout of it is global, destroying Facebook's reputation as a good corporate neighbor in the community. And I said, well, yeah, Bob, but, as a Cheyenne resident, that's going to cost you, because the kind of damages are going to be massive because it's global impact. I said, they have to move the venue out of Cheyenne because they're the defendants. They're the citizens of Cheyenne are the ones who are going to have to pay on this. And he says, yeah, thank God my wife and I moved outside the city about 10 years ago. But they have 14 of them. And he said, not long ago, about 10 years ago, Walmart put a distribution center outside of the city in this industrial park. And they were the only ones out there. And the city came after them, essentially saying they caused a salmonella problem at the sewer system. The sewer system's for toxic waste, right? And part of their settlement, after all these fines and everything that Walmart agreed to, is they had to hire a professional consultant to oversee management. So they hired my brother. My brother's looking at all the lab reports. He says, there's no way this is salmonella based. Everything here looks like oil field disposal problems, the salt water. And Bob wrote the reports and everything. And and then they find out part of the conditions of Walmart getting in there, they were charging them a surcharge for every dozen eggs they sell. There's $1 surcharge the city is assessing to reach a certain point. What I'm seeing here is a narrative of the city of Cheyenne going after the big corporate bullies and wanting to be sure you all know that they are big corporate bullies. And it's a class warfare thing going on. And he helped Walmart to recover a bunch of that stuff.
Oh, that's good.
But
let's bring it.
Here's the important take home, Eddie.
Okay.
Is you're seeing this in the Tulsa area and you're seeing it all over the country.
Right.
Where they're trying to demonize all these data centers.
Yeah, no,
lots of things.
I've seen that for a long time. And now it's become political. Drummond wants to use it against Mazie because Mazie is pro the data centers. He's pro the aluminum.
Yeah, no, I've got the aluminum thing.
Okay. Let's wrap because we're at 3 hours. Okay.
Last thing before I got off the phone, I said, Bob, sometime I got to talk to you about this aluminum facility that Trump said we got to get one in the United States. This is the first one. It's 20 minutes.
Well, outside of Alcoa or the steel.
Yeah, you're right. The first new one.
Right.
And he just said, well, all I'm going to say on that is amongst smelting facilities, there's no cleaner metal for smelting than aluminum. Nothing more ecologically friendly than processing aluminum. It's a different kind of metal. It's got a low melting point.
Right.
There's just so many things about it. He just says, do not treat it like it's Pittsburgh.
Yeah, right. And from what I understand, the technology of smelting, period, is far, far superior to where the Pittsburgh plants are and everything. So, this is something that we need to get out there because the NIMBY, the NIMBYs are not in my backyard. Yeah, they're just hurting the state, and you got people. And here's the thing: this is what really ticks me off. It's become a political football,
and it's a class warfare thing.
It's a class, but what's sad is that it's the Republicans that are falling in line. The Republican populists and certain politicians named Drummond that are trying to push this narrative to help them attack their opponents.
He's trying to make Republicans behave like Democrats.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That is it. So you tell them that next time you see somebody that's coming with all these, we don't want it. No. You're just acting like a Democrat. That's all.
And Drummond did the same
and
thing.
worse than the Democrats, the environmentalists and all of the tree huggers that we've skewed all these years. I'm sorry, go ahead.
What Drummond just did, going after Texas Tech, now puts us in jeopardy of a counter lawsuit by Texas Tech.
Really?
I think Texas Tech has very solid grounds for a countersuit. Not just against Drummond and against the very NCAA for not enforcing it back when that kid was playing at Cincinnati or Indiana.
Right.
So you've got that whole issue. Then I'm hearing the commissioner of the SEC saying maybe we just need to leave the NCAA altogether. I mean, he didn't say it in those words, but to that effect. And now all of a sudden, like, whoa. And the real bad guy in all this, in my opinion, is ESPN. Because they are not only the ones signing the contract, they've made themselves a junior partner of the SEC.
Right.
So they're going to pitch the SEC teams as the best, the only ones you should watch because they're on our network.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't know how you can do that. It doesn't seem legal. Not that it shouldn't be legal.
Yeah.
But considering how all the other regulations and tie-ins and corporate consolidation and all, where's the what is that agency that's antitrust and where they have to evaluate whether you
SEC?
can no. Oh yeah, it is SEC, Security Exchange Commission. Yeah, that's one of them too. But so it just shows where the money is and who's controlling.
Do you remember how much the tobacco settlement had to pay out because of the Joe Camel character convincing kids, or the theory that he was convincing kids to smoke?
Yeah.
Okay, what would happen if Sorsby were to sue ESPN for all those commercials convincing them to gamble on sports?
Yeah, that.
Anyway, that's plenty to think about, folks. We're going to call it a wrap.
You need to send that to Sorsby's lawyer. All right. Yeah. Hey, thanks again. Thanks to Bob for coming in here today, and we're not that far away. It's less than a month now that we have our runoffs, and then the real fun begins. I just hope, Dave, that the Republicans can unite.
Yeah, by the way, I've been talking to plenty of my clients that really don't know where my politics are per se. They know I'm conservative, but I'm hearing over and over again the narrative. I don't like Gentner. He just rubs me the wrong way. Mostly women. Mm-hmm. And that I think there's a good chance that Mazie may have a double-digit win.
That would be good. See, what I look at, the only thing Gentner has given us is anti-Mazie ads.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Mazie supports data centers. Mike Mazie supports the aluminum plant, and then but nothing positive. I mean, I haven't heard what Gander wants to do about taxes. I haven't heard what he wants to do about regulations. I haven't heard how he's going to take Oklahoma further.
Yeah.
The only thing I've heard is that Mazie's a bad guy. Mike Mazie is focusing on.
I'm a fighter pilot. Oh, that's right. That doesn't sell anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody who campaigned on being a fighter pilot did not succeed.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
Anyway, I don't know what else is going on. Tedford moved on to the general election. Hearn moved on, to general election. Most of our stuff is decided.
Yeah,
and
we need to get those guys back in here. Kevin would be nice to get in. And then, of course, Mark, I don't think it'll be a problem getting Mark in. And we should try to get Mike Mazie back in here.
We do. Yeah. We do. Because
Gander's not coming. I can guarantee you he just won't come. He wouldn't even, I couldn't even get his handler to, what's her name?
Stephanie.
Yeah, I couldn't get her to have him show up at the Republican Men's Club.
Yeah, well, I ran into that with him before. Finally, Tomahawk intervened because he lost too.
He used to be with Tomahawk.
He had Trevor Worthen handling his first run against Mike Hunter,
right?
And it went to a runoff, and he told Trevor, he says, "I want to get in front of grassroots. I don't know why grassroots wouldn't be, attentive." And he said, call David Vann. He's president of the Tulsa Republican Assembly. He's been after me, and I kept stiff arming him. And so Trevor says, you're going to have to hire somebody else. That's not our forte, right? And so he hires Tomahawk, and he says, call David Vann first. And that night, he came and spoke. That night.
So you're responsible for Gander Drummond.
I got him in. He lost that primary.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. And again, you put up to me a choice.
No, you're talking about for Attorney General.
Yeah. You put up to me Mike Hunter or Gander Drummond. I'll vote for Gander Drummond. I really had that little respect for Mike Hunter.
Okay, there you've heard it here.
Yeah. I mean, he eventually, David Ostro, who ran for lieutenant governor, he had him indicted because David exposed the fact that he was having an affair trying to get his mistress a high state government appointment. And
what's wrong with that?
Yeah. In
Washington, that's business as usual.
I know it. But, when you say, in fact, Gettner, to his credit, when he took over, he says, you know what? I am dismissing those charges. They were nothing but petty. Because first of all, you're trying to prove some technicality against David Ostro. And it was costing him already tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it was just gotchaism because he wouldn't let Hunter put his mistress in some high government office.
I'll tell you what's disappointing to me. You have Keating. You have, what's his name?
McCall?
Well, yeah, McCall. But who's the one the darling of the right?
Jackson? Merrick.
Merrick. Yeah. You have all these guys. Now that it's over. And I mean, it's pretty obvious to you and me who the choice should be.
Yeah.
I don't think it's just something we want, but you got all these guys that claim to be so conservative, the champions of the, and they will not give their endorsement to Mike.
Yeah.
So I don't understand what's going on.
This is a simple business deal. You usually buy their endorsements by paying off their campaign debts. They're going to negotiate. The only thing they have left that's of any value is their endorsement.
Okay.
And they're going to get the best deal out of it they can.
I see.
I hate to be that cynical.
And Mike doesn't have as much money as Gander, so he's probably hesitating because he wants to save his money to use on campaign expenses versus buying an endorsement.
Or it could be the strategist decide, let's time that endorsement for within the last 2 weeks. So that's when it has the most impact. It creates a news cycle, and you want it to where it, I mean, there is a whole bandwagon effect that, you start the ball rolling and then it just keeps momentum building.
We don't have time today, but I want to get into, if you can remember this.
Yeah.
You've got my pen there, and you can write down this as a note. But just
I carried this from home. I must have stole it last week.
Yeah, you stole it at some point. I just looked at it. So where'd that come? How'd that pot? Yeah.
My wife actually liked it. I stole it from her.
Yeah, I like it too. That's right. But anyway, now that I've lost my train of thought,
remind
me to it's about Maisie and the whole campaign there. Maisie Drummond. Oh yeah, there CPAs. There's the CPA. Did you read his anti-Maisie deal?
No.
Yeah, Maisie. There's a CPA. There's this stockbroker that I know. I mean, we're friends. This guy and I, and they are adamantly opposed to Mike Maisie. So I want to find out why these guys, unless one's a competitor, I guess. But as far as this CPA who has Maisie's tax plan.
Okay, so they're trying to score his tax plan.
Well, the stockbroker, I mean, the accountant is.
Yeah.
The other guy is no, but from what I've heard on the Maisie side is that tax plan that this guy is scoring and going against has nothing to do with his real tax plan. It's not even the same deal. So it's totally erroneous stuff.
Yeah.
And they're coming out against Mike for Drummond. So I'm wondering what's going on.
Okay,
there.
Isn't that a lot like the Democrats when they're running against Trump, this last presidential? They were running against this Agenda 2025 or something like that.
Yeah, 2025.
I guess it might have been some working draft from the Heritage Foundation.
It was.
And they just decided it is Trump's agenda.
I don't think it's Agenda 2025 because Agenda 2025 is the new age.
Okay.
But
there was something Heritage Foundation.
Yeah,
some kind of
I know what you're talking about. And we need to research that and bring that up. Yeah, I know just exactly what you're talking about.
But look, it's in politics 101 or 102. It's like define your opponent in your best advantage.
Right.
And that's what they tried to do to Trump. It just didn't work.
Right.
Because all Trump had to do was work the drive-through lane at McDonald's, and it overcomes all of that narrative.
That's hilarious. We'll have to tell Mike, you need to work at Burger King or something for a day. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I think we're going to wrap it up. We're just hit 3 hours. Hey, once again, we do want to thank our special guest.
Yeah.
Sorry, I turned the wrong one down.
It sounded really nice.
My goodness. But anyway, you guys, you're grown people. You have the ability to read, I think. And they made it easier for you because it's online now. You don't even have to get a book or a subscription to a newspaper. But the truth is out there. You just have to be willing to find it and try to figure out the unfiltered truth. Yeah. So thank you for joining us. And we'll probably have a few more. I know Marty Quinn will be coming in here in the next couple of weeks, and we'll try to get some. I'm going to try to get Mike Maisie back to answer some of these questions for himself and whatever else. It would be nice if we could get someone from the pro nuclear plant, and I'm not nuclear. We haven't even gotten into that fight yet. No,
the aluminum smelter.
The aluminum smelter and the data center fight. We need to get some people that are knowledgeable, scientific, or if you want to have your brother, and we'll let you interview him on.
We should. The fact is, he just published a second book on minerals and mineral recovery, precious minerals. I'm going to see if I can't get him by remote to join us.
Yeah,
we need to develop that better.
Yeah. All right, then. All right, everyone. Have a great week. God bless you. And we'll talk to you next week, Lord willing. Okay.
All right.